Right, I'm gonna press the record button. It doesn't matter if we're not perfect from the beginning because we're going to edit this. All right?
Yo,
Maybe not.
okay?
Maybe not.
What do you mean?
Well, maybe not edit. We're gonna release it all into the public domain.
Don't
Okay.
mind him, Mhairead. That's Ackermann.
I know. Right, Andrew, welcome. I'm going to press record in a minute. And you sound a bit soft. Are you being quiet because you don't want to wake up your family, or are you just? I know you're soft-spoken anyway, so.
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Right. That's better. I can hear you better now. Okay. Let me just fiddle with this thing. Right. Right. So this is
top of the morning to you, Andrew.
Oh, thank you so much. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, great to have you on the symposium. It's a real pleasure having you.
Thank you so much.
It's really a pleasure to meet you, Andrew. This is Lonnie. I have to say, I really admire your work. Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Here, here.
Oh no,
Likewise.
Thank you all. Yeah, it's great for you guys to have seen what I've done and vice versa. So thank you for welcoming me and being so late.
Thank you for waking up. Goodness sakes.
Is it actually 3 o'clock there? You know, is it true the Earth is round and it's 3 in the morning?
That's actually a conspiracy theory. Yeah, it's 3:23. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, it's anything to help you guys out, you know.
well, what we wanted to do was the idea was well, it's really Thomas who wants to have. He's desperate to have a symposium, as in we all get together. Physically, for real, in the real world, so to speak. But in the meantime, because none of us have won the lottery, this is the next best thing, is to do it on a cyber level. And just to connect with each other and talk about the inevitable, which is Fukushima, and how each of us are dealing with that, you know, the work that Lonnie's doing, the work that Ackermann's doing, and yourself. So what I thought we'd do is just introduce ourselves to start with, and then we're kind of familiar with, you know, why we're here and who we are. So I'm going to pick on Billy first of all.
Thanks.
He's still there.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I've got
Billy's
new
in
fancy
Scotland.
headset. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say Billy's in Scotland, so I'll start with the Scots people and get them out of the way first.
Thank you.
So, Billy, how did you get involved with the whole kind of Fukushima thing? What was it that triggered you and made you think, wait a minute, I need to do something about this. I need to connect with these people.
Well, I always knew the media silence at Fukushima from the start, was something wasn't wrong because the media wasn't telling us anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that was in the back of my mind all the time. I'm a busy man with family and busy work commitments, so you just keep going. Always thinking it wasn't right. Then I came across, I've only been at this 2 years, I came across one of Dana's early videos when I was ratcheting about on the internet one night looking at, I think it was a site called What Really Happened. Are you familiar with that site, any of you guys? It's quite an interesting one. And I came across Dana and I listened to his first video and it blew my mind. I had trouble sleeping for a couple of nights after it, you know, when the stuff he was talking about. So from then I watched all his videos and I tried to see who else was talking and things. And I came across Blanche. And Blanche blew me away as well, you know, his attitude, his no-nonsense approach to the whole thing. So I phoned Blanche. I thought, I need to talk to these guys because these guys are, these guys are trying to do something that's to influence people's thoughts on the whole subject. So I phoned Blanche, and at that time I was working on an old computer, an old 1990s kind of thing. And Blanche says, get yourself a laptop and get active, you know, and learn how to do it. Get your kids to show you how to work this computer. And that's what happened. You know, I'm pretty rubbish with computers and things, but I've learnt a lot in the last 2 years.
Mm.
And through Blanche, I came across Mr. Ackermann, Esquire, and me and Tom have been Skyping regularly for a good while now, Tom.
A year.
And a year, yes. And like, I've been phoning Blanche all the time as well. And I just recently got into Facebook there in May, and that's opened up a lot of other avenues as well, and communicating with people. And
Mm.
it's really, I'm stepping up a wee bit with the communication thing. I think the communication is part of it. You know, for like-minded people to communicate is a big thing in this whole forum here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what-
and that's the kind of idea behind this, isn't it? We want to connect with each other, but also encourage other people to come forward and get involved and perhaps host a forum themselves. You know, that's the beauty of this idea, and it's all credit to Thomas for saying that, because if we're going to be sort of free radicals, then we have to behave like them, just completely, you know,
I mean,
keep everything open.
ever since I found out about it, I mean, I've been trying to tell the world and their dog about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the attitude of people, the apathy of the people around about me is painful, really.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
just
the
can't
apathy
understand
is
how people-
institutionalized. Sorry for interjecting. It's institutionalized apathy and codified apathy, which is really sinking the ship here.
Totally. And I mean, I think Blanche has given me the courage to. I went on Blanche type rants in front of people and meetings and things, you know, and people just think I'm crazy. But I know I'm talking in sense, you know, in my head, I know, and my own family don't even know what this is about, you know. I'm quite isolated in my own family here. But there you go. People don't, if it's not in the mainstream media, people don't believe it. And we've been manipulated for years in that media.
Mm.
They've done a great job on us. You must take a hat off to them. They've done a great job on us.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go. That's my kind of story so far, like, you know.
So, Andrew, I'm going to introduce you next, just to make sure you're keeping awake there.
I mean, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
Good for you. Oh, somebody's dog barked.
Oh, that's my dog. He's on the sofa.
Oh, of course, I forgot you've got a dog. Okay, Andrew, just
Yeah,
tell us
go
a
ahead,
wee
sorry.
bit about how you got into all of this. I mean, people, we all know about your films and how brilliant they are. I'd like to know what compelled you to feel that you needed to do that. What was it that triggered that in you, that made you sit down and write those amazing scripts? And I know that you were sort of inspired by documentaries that you've seen before, and you thought, yeah, you want to use those as a model for what you were doing. But I'd like to know about what was it that really kicked you in the guts and made you think, I have to do something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I lived in Japan for quite a while, and you know, I just feel really deeply obligated to protecting the country of Japan where I lived before. So, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, coming through.
Good.
Yeah, great. So, yeah, I knew something was awry because I was watching a lot of Miss Milky the Clown's videos, and I sort of knew about the whole contrived financial system in about early 2008, but yeah, this was sort of a confirmation of how things are really manipulated and the wool pulled over people's eyes. So you know, with everything. So it was really not much of a choice for me. So you know, if it's to be exposed, it's up to people like ourselves. Like I'm not really a an activist by nature. So I like to sort of, I'm very sort of what do you call it, softly spoken and so forth. But I knew I could write a bit, so I just sort of like to piece things together, and my films are really sort of I really call myself a collage artist, and putting together thoughts and ideas in a way that's sort of compelling for people. yeah, so it's a question of saving the country of Japan and by extension, the world. So that's sort of how I got into it.
Yeah, it's a
Get
bit.
a bit of background noise here.
It's a bit of interference. I don't know what that. Sometimes that can be if somebody's on a laptop, or it's just. We've got, a lot of us on this call, so it's inevitable we're going to get that kind of
Can I
stuff.
ask Andrew a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
Andrew, I'm wondering, are you a filmmaker from way back? Did you go? Did you study this? Are you? Is that your background?
No, not at all. Yeah, I can't say I'm like a gung ho filmmaker. It's not my background at all. It's just something I, sort of fell into. It's not. I don't really have a financial model for making this make money per se, but it was just. I think film is a powerful way of unwinding people's how to say inertia or. Because film is traditionally, not traditionally, but conventionally used to, I guess, brainwash people. And I think by making films, and especially like making a popcorn film, popcorn movie, as I've described it to you before, I'm sort of, that's the means by which people accept truth for good or for bad. It's like, oh, it's been made into a film and they're actors, so this must be true. Our mentality. You've got to deceive them into considering the truth, is how I see it. It's by means of making it a dramatic film. It's like, oh, well, this has been made into a film. This could be real. So, because there's only a finite number of people who are going to watch documentaries, because documentaries are where it's at, but there's only a certain, dare I say, in my opinion, certain limited demographic of people who will watch a documentary and really think about it. If you know what I mean. Mm.
Yeah.
Entirely, yeah.
Do you have a day job other than the making movies?
Yes, several. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But we all have.
So yeah.
Right.
How's your
Okay.
funding going on?
Breaking up.
How's your
Yeah, it's touch and go. It's I've had a few financial contributions, but mostly it's been through myself. But it really does help, just with equipment and getting green screens and props. Because it just takes a lot to get things in place, and so yeah. But it is coming together very slowly. It's like. I feel like a lot of inertia, like I really want things out there, but it just takes so much time, as you can imagine. Yeah.
And did you go to Japan recently to do a bit of the filming?
Oh yeah, that was quite a while ago. That was
All
June
right.
2014.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a long process.
And I just wondered how things. Did you notice a difference there in people, or what was the news circulating like and that kind of thing? Because you went back. If you went, there was another film that you went back to make, that you had your Geiger counter and it was raining and it increased and all of that. I just wondered if there was a difference this time when you went back, in whether you took readings or just got the general feel of what people were saying when you were there. If there was a change at all, or
No, it's the radiation's there for sure. Kevin Blanche says that it's not as bad in Japan, and to a great degree that's very true, because it's blowing westward. So but it does blow back onto Tokyo, and it's getting through to the people through the food and
The incineration, what about them moving the dirt all over? Do you know if that's still going on?
I don't know if that's still going on, but because I haven't, with my film, I just had so much tunnel vision. But
Right.
I mean,
Well, I'm grateful for that. I can't wait for the film.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I honestly don't know. But you've got to assume the worst. I mean, if if they've done it, oh gosh, who knows? Because people are so uh, quite mind controlled in Japan. Like it's to a large extent. People have gotten all angry about the War Act because that's something more tangible. Get your head around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a tactile sort of issue than radiation. But yeah, it's Fukushima is just it's hard to get someone to wake up about it. Yeah.
The timing of that War Act is quite. The timing of it, I think, is quite influential. Now they can fight out with their own borders and help their allies worldwide. And I don't see things looking too good just now on the world stage regarding war. I don't know how you feel about it, guys. It's not looking good, I don't think.
No, I mean everything's kind of coming to a particular head. It's almost like a perfect storm, if you like. But in terms of what's happening with Japan, what concerns me is the statistics that are coming out about the children. We know now that before it was a case of, well, they're discovering nodules in their thyroids, and now they're talking about, is it 40% or something of the children getting cancers, and that's the little bits that filter out to us. And I'm sure it's what we know.
Hugely dismaying.
Yeah, and probably it's far worse than that, because we know that which really shocked me was not long after Fukushima happened, I came across a story that they were talking about. They were burning they were burning waste, as in deliberately burning it. And I know Busby talked about that as well. And I just couldn't believe that, because I thought that surely that's not legal. In my sort of naive state at the time. I know better now. And the reasoning behind that was just kind of spread it about a bit, And yeah, this is the kind of thing, unless...
Well, incineration was really an indication of how little people understand how radiation works. And the fact that they thought they could just incinerate this waste and it would make the problem go away. Really speaks to the deception. These people are scientists and they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it really speaks to that it's beyond belief, because there's these lunatic legislators. Some of you I know this. Where is it? Around in Chicago, where they said you could actually paint over the radiation and that would mitigate it. Uncanny,
Smile.
Paint over. Yeah. Smile, right.
Yeah, that was in Japan, and he was quite. Who was he again, Andrew? Because he was quite a prominent politician that said, "Oh, just smile and that protects you."
Yeah, he was a science advisor to the Prime Minister, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so look, let me quote from Frederick Douglass. I got John Goffman's book in front of me, An Irreverent Illustrated View of Nuclear Power by John Goffman. And he quotes Frederick Douglass in here. This is exactly what we're talking about. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and never will. Just find out what people will submit to, and you have found out the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue until they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. That's it. And
So
that's exactly where we're at. Like we are, this lies about the nuclear industry. That's an oppression. That's a form of oppression that people are not acknowledging. They act like, well, they're just not telling us the truth because they're afraid to panic the people. No, it's a serious offense for them to be committing these crimes against the planet, not just humanity. I find it.
Sure, and it's just compounding the sin. The sins of omission compound the thing. So
Lonnie, while you're talking there, can you sort of introduce to us why, what triggered you, what got you into the Fukushima fight?
Yeah, on May 5th, 2012, I had a nightmare. and I woke up at about 3:30 in the morning. I thought that I saw the entire horizon orange. And my first thought, because I live in the northwest of, of North America, I live in Eugene, Oregon. I thought about Hanford, and it felt so real. I went to the internet to look to see if there was an explosion or anything like that had happened. And I couldn't, it was shocking. I couldn't find anything on nuclear. There was nothing. Like, it was so hard. And then all of a sudden, these things about Fukushima popped up. And so I was following links and nothing ever really. And then all of a sudden, I found Miss Milky the Clown's video. And I'm like, oh my God, we're super screwed, right? So then I started following Miss Milky the Clown. And then I found Helen Caldecott. And on her radio show, If You Love This Planet, she interviewed Carl Grossman one day, who said, look, we need every single person out there who hears this radio show to take action. What people have been trained to not go on their gut, to do nothing, to say their actions don't matter. But he said, I'm telling you, everything matters. Whatever idea you have, do it, because this is an urgent situation. We need every person to actively engage. That was like, I guess, early January. Well, around that same time, I had found Kevin Blanch's video, and he was ranting and raving like, fuck you, you bastards. And I'm like, I like this guy. Finally, someone who tells these people what it's about, you know?
Yeah.
So I followed him, and I got interestingly enough, I had a YouTube channel under a different name, and I was being attacked. Like, I was getting really bad. I'd only been like mirroring news reports and things like that, but they were saying horrible things to me. So I deleted that channel, and that's how I came up with Nuts for Art. And then I connected with Kevin, asked Kevin to come to Eugene to give a symposium. And after that, I said, well, look, why don't you just keep doing these symposiums all around the country? That was the original idea. Because of Kevin's character and the nature of his personality, it just never functioned. We never did it again anywhere else. But in the process of the 2.5 years of support, when I first met Kevin, I was extremely timid. I didn't want anybody to know about me. I was perfectly happy to throw him out in front of the crowd, right? Like, I didn't mind at all me staying in the background and nobody knowing about me. And then I guess I just started making my own protest videos. Thank you, Andrew, for I actually was one of the best honors I've ever had. Me and a group of people here worked on Andrew's Fukushima protest challenge, and we won. And Jana Swift really created that. She did a great job of editing the whole Fukushima protest challenge thing. That's like one of the best videos I've ever seen, actually, that she put together. And so that happened. I started like putting my foot in the water little by little. And then this is the strange thing. When Kevin went to Europe, the day before he left, he called me up and said, he hadn't found anybody to substitute for him on the radio. He's like, well, it looks like you're going to have to substitute for me on the radio. So I'm like, okay. So I get on, and I just had no idea what to do. So I just went to the radio, started talking. In the course of the next few weeks, with Jules, she offered me 3 times a week on the UCY.TV. And so now I've got a radio show 3 times a week where I had to create a format because 3 times a week is a lot of time on the air. So I sort of settled down to an idea of on Mondays I'll read the nuclear alerts from the NRC and talk about things that are happening if we have more time. On Wednesdays I'll interview, and on Fridays allow the people who are listening to call in and participate, because frankly, I'm a novice at this. On my YouTube channel, I'm reading Poison Power by John Goffman. I read another John Goffman book, which I thought was a joke at the time. It's called Population Control Through Nuclear Power. It is not a joke. And he basically titled the book like that because he said, look, if we don't stop the nuclear industry, this is what's going to happen. We are going to control the population through nuclear pollution. And that's, that book was written in 1972. So that fast forward till now, and guess what? Everything he recommended has not been done. The opposite has been done. And we are now seeing the very very, very severe consequences of that. So that's kind of how I wandered into this, kind of timidly, but I guess I'm not so timid.
Hi, can I interject the name I have for Lonnie Clark? Can I interject with my personal
Okay,
name?
go for it.
My personal name for Lonnie Clark is the butterfly that bites.
Yeah. It sounds almost like a Japanese type name too, as well.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, Madam Butterfly who bites.
Hey, that's even better. Yes, the Madam Butterfly that bites.
Okay, Thomas, you.
I like being called a madam. That I like that part.
Yeah,
You
Thomas,
like the Madam part? Okay, I'll adjust it. Mhairead is just adjusted. Madam Butterfly that bites.
Yeah, or yeah, Madam's okay. You all right with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thomas,
Thomas.
it's related to a brothel. I like that idea. No.
Well, if it's a Japanese brothel, what would it be? Would it be Mama, or is it Mama-san or something? I can't remember what it is. Anyway,
Jojo-sa was the Puccini character.
that's right. Okay. We're wandering into opera now. This isn't good. Okay, Thomas, it's you're up. I want you to explain to people who you are, how you got involved in.
You're afraid to ask me, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, as if we didn't know, right? But go ahead.
You're all afraid to ask me.
Yeah.
Are you paying attention?
We are.
We're wrapped. Go.
Well, you know, things are we're in a shitter here, and my nature is that I seek out problems. It's the nature of making paintings, and I've always felt that things weren't right. Things was really wrong. I didn't know how wrong until I came across the Fukushima thing, and so in on 3/11/11. I actually realized I had a mission in life that was connected to the work that I'd always been doing. And I had actually made some paintings prior to the event, that Fukushima blowing up. I had started a series of painting that I called Dead Men Standing. And one of the Dead Men Standing was Jesse James, who I had put under an umbrella, held up by a Japanese hokusai character. And if you know Japanese art, hokusai is sort of the highest art. The most important image that he has is that wave. You all know that wave, the hokusai wave?
Yes,
Of course.
beautiful.
Yeah, so I had done this image, and I think in terms of my own work, I had actually realized that, yeah, you know, all art history is, if you're not a decorator, it's exposing the things that don't work. I mean, that's the nature of making good art. It's like, if you go through all of art history, the greatest art has always been contra or contrary to the status, the conformity that is around us. And the conformity is nuclear. Ultimately, the greatest atrocity ever committed in the history of humanity is to invent this process called nuclear fission. It was invented in 1938 by a couple of guys called Strassman Hahn. Actually, Fermi had come across it in 1932, but he kind of didn't know what the hell he was looking at. This is all in sort of a continuity of Marie Curie, who had been working with this material and said, oh, isn't this interesting? It glows in the dark. And then people kind of picked this up and said, well, maybe we can sort of screw around with this and figure out how this works. But for my personal thing here is I need transformations. Every time I make a painting, I need to transform myself. So it's a very personal thing. You know, the nuclear industry and all the atrocities, all the shit going on out there is happening. But what I feel, and the reason I really appreciate talking to people that understand and feel this, is that it's about a personal transformation. And it happened in my work. It happened prior to 3/11/11. I started working on this, the worst thing that we're facing, and people will argue. Okay, you can talk about the chemical destruction. You can talk about all the different things, Monsanto and genetic mutations and all the kind of experiments. But I still feel this is the jewel in the crown of destruction. And the nuclear thing has actually transformed me. I think it's transformed me as a person. And I think this is the idea of the symposium for me, is the idea that we're not experts on the topic, but we're experts on changing ourselves. And I think this is how I came to this, and meeting up with the people that are actually feeling the same way I do. And I think this is ultimately what Andrew's films and Blanche's activism and Lonnie's work, and I've joined up with Patrick, and we met and we got together, and I think this is ultimately what will change the course in the way we behave. That we know it's not working. It's just a matter of finding a way of changing ourselves to make things work. I want things to work. I want to be in this incredible mystery. I want to be part of this mystery. I don't want to destroy what we are actually part of. I want to be part of a mystery that I can't explain it. You go out, you see creatures, nature, everything around us, people, everything around us is magnificent. It's a mystery. And I want to be part of that. And I'm not going to be on our watch. This, by the way, I feel this is on all of our watches. That's how I see this, that we have a responsibility not to let this go down the way it's being presented to us, that, oh, just suck it up, a bit of radiation, hormesis. Lonnie has covered this, and scientists have debunked the idea of hormesis. Radiation, 1 becquerel of radiation is a death to somebody. So we can't accept this, and things aren't working. So my objective as an artist is to just, be part of that extended family that I have that exposes that. And that's how I came at this.
I agree with you that this is on our watch, and this is why I can't just wake up and just go about my day and ignore it all, because honestly, I use all of my spare time focused on this issue, like reading these books and doing videos and interviewing people and bringing people into an awareness out of it. And the reason is, for that reason, it is on our watch. It's our responsibility. Those of us who have, for some reason, the light's gone on and we're beginning to realize it, we can't just turn the lights back off and let everybody else suffocate in nuclear pollution.
I agree, Lonnie. You can't walk away from this one. It's once you start this road, you go down. I mean, every time I look at my kids and I look at my family, and touch wood, we're lucky. There's cancer has not really visited my immediate family or anybody, but round about me, I know a lot of people. I'm self-employed. I see people, young people, dying of cancer, people in their 40s, and it's not on, and it's
for goodness sakes, Billy, we have children being born with cancer, and they're not. The questions are not even being asked. Why are children being born with cancer? Like, they're like, oh, we have a new cure for this cancer for this 1-month-old baby for their cancer. Well, the question is, why are they getting cancer?
Right.
And Lonnie, you know what? Well, sorry, we're getting told. The media told us last year in the UK, 1 out of every 2 people will have cancer, will get cancer. But we're getting told. That's the madness of it. We're being told, and nobody's thinking, well, how can this be? Where's it coming from? They're telling us in preparation for the.
That's why Andrew's work is very important, frankly, because the work that Andrew does, and especially in this film, and I'm very excited to see more of a storyline and non-documentary, because I think his point about there's only a certain demographic that will watch documentaries is 100% true. And when we have a film that really explains, this is why, really, Andrew, I commend you for taking your time and doing correctly, because honestly, the finished product is what people will look at. And this is a long-term process that we're going uphill on a big stream, and it doesn't, we need to take our time and do things correctly so that it can reach out, it will reach out. And I agree completely that is how we're going to wake people up, is through this medium, because all they're getting is pro-nuclear stuff on every venue on the mainstream media. So
That's what
it's really
propaganda is all
important
about.
to
You have to
something.
have superior propaganda. That's the delivery system, and it's perfect. And I concur 100% that Andrew is on the right path. It's people want to be compelled, want a compelling narrative. That's how their favorite way to digest anything new. So I think it's perfect, a perfect vehicle.
The last thing I just want to add to my dissertation is that it's all about personal transformation. We can criticize and argue and expose and all that stuff, but we need to transform ourselves. That's the nature of it. So if Andrew was making a film, he has a day job, he's doing stuff, but he was compelled to change himself in some way. And I think this is very important for each person listening to recognize that this is what has to happen, a personal transformation. We got to change. Things aren't working. We got to fucking change. That's what I think.
I agree.
I agree.
Mm.
I agree.
Andrew, you still with us?
Mission Control calling Andrew.
We lost him. Because he didn't comment there, so that surprised me. Hello?
Maybe he's dozed back off. Poor dear.
He might have done. Anyway, we'll keep going.
Might-
Yes.
Sorry?
He might be away to the toilet. We don't know.
Exactly.
No.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
We do such things on these symposiums? Yeah.
Are you there,
holding on
Andrew?
just now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Did
There
you
he
hear what? Did you hear all the praise that was flung your
Yeah,
way
no,
just
I-
5
I
minutes?
heard, I heard everything. Thank you so much, guys.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
You don't need to acknowledge. I just worried that you're falling asleep.
Yeah, we're a little bit concerned it's the middle of the night there for you.
I
Yeah.
heard everything. Yeah, so yeah, I really commend all you guys for being at it, 24/7. So I once made a video where I was saying that people like yourselves are like the sort of the jet fighters of the course. You're on every topic and talking about everything that's coming up and going on. And but for me, I'm like a long distance bomber. Like I come in every year or so, just dump, like a huge load of Fukushima awareness. And so, yeah, I'm sort of, yeah, I come from it that way. So,
I think
and you
it's
guys,
awesome. I think that's commendable. We need
A
that.
lovely analogy, by the way.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, yes, you guys are continually biting the apple and coming in every now and then. So,
Well,
but
we're
yeah,
warming the fire so that when you like prepare this film, like people will be, you know what I mean? Like I think having people, activists constantly reminding, as much as an annoyance as it is to people, my daughter who is 32 now, at one point I had said to her, I went off of Facebook. And I was just sick of the harassment that I was getting on Facebook about, calling me names and things. So my daughter said, you know what, Mom, as much as she said, I wish you'd reconsider it because you post these things about Fukushima on my wall. And she goes, a lot of people do not comment, but you know what? You are changing their minds. Really, people, it does matter. They're afraid to comment. They are overwhelmed by it, but it does matter. People are seeing it. So my daughter actually talked me into going back on Facebook so that I could continue to post articles about that I found about the harm that radiation in the nuclear industry is doing to the planet. So, but like the work that you're doing, Andrew, it's kind of in the background now, but when you come out with this movie, it's going to be big time in the forefront. And it will change many, 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 many more people's minds just by the venue of a narrative of a real story, the human emotions. People will get caught up in the human emotions of it all, and that'll sway their hearts.
I think
it's frustrating.
Andrew's other earlier films are still really, really relevant, though.
I love them.
They're brilliant, and they're very good to pass on to someone who doesn't have a clue. And that you can show them the first one, and even just the factual stuff about the rad meters were switched off basically, and all the little add-ons that the knowledge that comes forth. And
I don't know about you, but every time I've seen them, they bring me to tears.
oh yeah,
Seriously.
I've warned people and said you're gonna break down when you see this. I mean, I did I discovered Andrew quite early on when I was doing research to do a round table with him and with Kevin. And what I loved about the fact was that they were two opposites, in that you've got Kevin with all his fire and passion and, you know, and bluster, which is great, and really channeling a very strong, I don't want to say rage because that sounds like it's a bad thing, but considering what happened to his family, what happened to his father, where he lives, the history of all of that coming through him, he's channeling all of that. And and discovering him, and then finding Andrew, who was this very soft-spoken, and I wasn't sure if Andrew was Japanese or what the story was there. I didn't really know him very well then. And I was thinking, wow, because they both approached it so differently, but I knew that they admired and respected each other and were inspiring each other. And it's like what Thomas was saying earlier on about we have to transform ourselves, and what Lonnie was saying about how you were sort of quiet in the background and then you've come forward. And that's really true. I mean, even Billy and I, myself, have talked about, well, you know, what can we do? You know, I kind of do what I can to connect with people and support their work. And I don't have much money, unfortunately. I can't sort of throw money at them, but I keep pushing stuff out there that I know will educate somebody. You know, like some people will read a book, you know, and some people won't. And some people watch a documentary film, or they'll watch maybe a soundbite of 10 minutes. And if I find something that I think is going to really show them how bad it is in terms of, you know, the corruption within the industry itself, and particularly after Chernobyl, there's a lot of really good documentaries. There's obviously the Battle of Chernobyl, which is brilliant. That kind of thing. That really educates people. Got feedback. So yeah, that's what excited me, and what kept me going was the fact that people were out there who were independent, you know, who weren't necessarily professional writers or investigative journalists or whatever, who were doing this work. And what blew me away was the fact that we are the media, as Kevin says. You know, we've had to do that ourselves. We've had to push this topic forward because the media isn't doing a good enough job, if it's doing a job at all. And we're incredibly let down by them every single day that they stay silent.
Yeah.
It's true. And this is why I always go back to John Goffman. He talks about this quite a bit, you know, how it is up to the citizens to actively engage, because the government and the nuclear industry really is an arm of the military. And it is up to us to push them to tell the truth, because they are not going to. And in fact, what they do is they build laws to protect the nuclear industry. In fact, all of the technologists, they protect them all. And the downside with the nuclear pollution is that it is insidious in lots of various ways. And we have only, unfortunately for us, post-Fukushima, we have not really seen the true devastation that it's caused, and it probably will not become apparent for another 5 more years. It'll really start becoming apparent. You know, the deaths that they cannot hide, the deaths of the people that are going to happen.
And also just the food industry and that kind of thing. I mean, you told me, Lonnie, about an incident in your garden. What was it to do with strawberries or something?
Oh, yeah. That was kind of interesting. I have a little, in my backyard, I have a garden patch right next to my raspberry bushes, right? So this summer I started growing, I didn't actually eat any of my strawberries. They kind of freaked me out. I had this one plant that was producing strawberries that looked like raspberries. They were growing like little bumpies on it. You know how like a strawberry is round with a bunch of little seeds on the top of it? Well, this was like producing individual like modules. It looked like a raspberry, but it was really a strawberry. It was just a weird mutation that and then I'm also getting in my garden tomatoes that are like 2-headed tomatoes. Like one tomato grows and then another tomato grows on top of it. So
Lonnie,
it's
run for the hills.
Well, you know,
run for the hills,
issue
Lonnie.
is, if I'm going to live in North America, there really is no place to run, really.
No.
Right. I mean, in North America, we're super screwed.
We were the recipients of Plumegate, You know, we got the full swath.
Well, and not just that, and as I'm getting more and more into this research, really, the levels of contamination from all the nuclear waste, all the dump sites. I mean, the idea that we have this industry producing a nuclear waste, a contaminant that we have no concept what to do with it. They don't know how to neutralize it, and they keep producing it. When you consider the fact that a nuclear power plant every single year produces 1,000 times the radiation of Hiroshima. And then on top of that, pile on the contamination that is spewing out, the untold from Fukushima that's still spewing out. Like people act as if, oh, well, that accident happened. It's over. This is what we need to remind people. It is not over. It's actually exponentially worse.
Not even close. Not even. Yeah, it's not even close to over. And it just all the breads and circuses that, suck in people's attention. That's really disturbing. And, like the Keystone Pipeline or the ridiculous political displays. And it's all such a tiny blip on the screen.
Speaking of that Keystone Pipeline, you know what I think why they didn't do that? Do you remember? I don't know if many of you saw this article. It was about 2 years ago when the Arctic started melting. There was a story that I saw where it said that they had discovered, it was the first time they'd been able to go down there because it had melted, right? They discovered that the Russians had been dumping their contaminated waste in barrels up there in the Arctic. And so I think that what happened was ExxonMobil and all these people had all these big plans. They didn't even pay attention to the contaminated waste. But when they got up there, they looked around and said, oh my God, there's so much waste. If we start messing around with the underground under here, we're going to disturb all this contaminated waste. So this is why I think that they have decided, not that the kayakers didn't help them push them over the edge of their decision, but the kayakers act like they won. I personally think that probably what happened was not that the fact that they didn't discover there was no oil. They discovered there was massive amounts of radioactive waste. And if they start messing around with it, they're going to really create a bigger mess. That's what intuitively, I could not prove it because I'd have to work for ExxonMobil. But my guess would be there is so much stuff that these oil companies know and don't talk. A friend of mine actually is a fire chief for ExxonMobil in Torrance. And he said to me, you have no idea the level of the things that they know about that they don't even halfway talk about. Like it's so sealed up, the secrecy. It's not just the nuclear industry. It's the whole energy department. All of those people there, the harm that they are causing our planet is beyond comprehension.
Yeah. So, Patrick, you're the last person that hasn't spoken up about what triggered you.
Except for Mhairead. Mhairead has to give her dissertation too.
Yeah, right. I was going to flip the script and say, okay, I submit it to you to, no. I just want to take the opportunity to say solidaridad with Dana.
We'll dedicate this whole symposium to Dana, and we'll explain why in a bit. I think that's,
And I also want to echo what Thomas said emphatically is it's personal transformation. That's what it's all about for me as well. That's why we totally see eye to eye, and we're brethren in developing, methodologies through art and our writing and our music and whatever other modalities we can command to explicate this nightmare scenario where we're in a soup of hot particles, right? I mean, this is the reality. It's personal, it's physical. That's the key point to bring out. It's physical, and it's not metaphysical. It's physical. It's attacking our physicality. It's attacking the root of life. And that's what got me engaged. As far as Fukushima, it was seeing the image of the, what was it, Unit 2 that had the mushroom cloud? Very next step. And it was stark. I mean, I saw it on the screen and I was just flabbergasted. I didn't know how to react. I'm like, well, that's the end of the world, isn't it? Or what does that signal? That's got to be titanic. And of course it was and is. And I kind of put it to bed. I kind of just shut down. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I saw. I literally, it didn't compute at first. And I sort of kind of said, well, it happened. You know, I have to go on. And then not too long after that, I'm like, well, what's going on with this? I'm not hearing anything. You know, the MSM, the mainstream media, of course, not reporting anything. And so I said, well, somebody's upset. And I found right around the same time, Ackermann and Blanche and their video work. And I'm like, yeah. And you know, immediately they were my brothers instantly, because I could see that, you know, they gave a damn, and they were trying to be honest reporters of what was happening, unfolding. So it just took off from there. I then contacted both of them. And as it turned out, we met in the desert in Nevada at Wendover last spring. And we met up with another very committed soul and a brilliant artist, Linda Sauer, who lives in Idaho. And the four of us held forth on the anniversary of Fukushima and made a video documentation of it. And it just unfolded from there. And it's just been a story since then of trying to have personal transformation. And it's the immense, you alluded to this earlier, the vacuum of discourse on this. It's just astounding. Thomas said, I feel like I'm in a twilight zone. We had a conversation the other day. You know, it's twilight zone time. It's, you know, there's silence everywhere, and we're, shouting our lungs out, trying to bring this out in any way we can, whether with films or radio shows or whatever, documentaries, paintings, you name it. We're trying to get the message out. And that's what it's all about for me.
I think I'd like to say what Patrick has, the impact that Patrick has had on me is that, like he said, we met in the Wendover Desert, and what I realized, and this is connected to what I have participated with Blanche in, and that is to meet up. That is the inspiration that I feel is to meet up with people physically. It's not just a virtual encounter. Right. It's not something that is sort of, well, you take it or leave it. No, this is like a real thing where you look in someone's eyes and you exchange. And I think this is what Patrick decided was important for him, and it's important for me. And I think ultimately that's how we're going to succeed if there's any hope left. I want to meet with Lonnie. I haven't met Lonnie. I haven't met Billy. I'd love to meet with Andrew, and maybe at the Toronto Film Festival. By the way, they had a huge doc film festival in Toronto. So I think that's the objective. And I want to say to Patrick that, like, his activity is inspirational to me because he came and met me at the airport in Vegas, and you know, the rest is history.
Right. It was kind of the car ride of conscience up to Wendover, wasn't it? It was
yeah, you
sort
survived.
You survived. Hunter S. Thompson trip, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, hallucinations. This is all about reality. This is hardcore. You know, no joke.
I think it's really important for anybody that hears this stream once it's up is that it is really up to the citizens of our planet to take back our power. Like, we have given it up. We have just allowed the technologists and the nuclear industry and the military to just roll us over. And I think this is why they're going after Dana, not because he called Jay Cullen names, but because he is educating the masses with information that has been buried. He reminds people over and over again about the facts. Like, he shows a picture of the nuclear power plant and says, hey, this is a nuclear power plant. They're trying to tell us it's this. Or he talks about Cullen and says, look, they're testing the water. They're not asking for dirt. Or they're not testing animal or plant life. I mean, it's so disingenuous the way they're framing the argument. And I think that is, in fact, why they are rattling the cage with Dana, because I believe once it gets into court, I don't think this will be a big issue for him in terms of, like, threatening his life and going to jail. But the fact is, it's enough to scare the crap out of us. We're just little peons, and they know it. It's like when I got investigated by the Capitol Police in 2009. I did not come out again until Fukushima happened. I was very actively engaged in I kept pushing for George Bush and Dick Cheney to be arrested. I was really adamant about it. And in 2009, I called John Boehner's office and Mike Pence's office, who was both congressmen at the time, and said, I really disagree with your vote against extending the benefits for the unemployed people because, you know, the bankers, people might starve. We're sniggling over $400 a week. They said, thank you for your comment. Mike Pence's office called up the Capitol Police and said, I threatened to murder their staff.
Wow.
So what happened because of that, they were mandated to investigate me. I mean, the police officer called me up and said, do you call Congress? The guy started laughing. I was like, when he said, well, he goes, we had somebody say you threatened to murder their staff. And I was like, what? I never even spanked my kids. I'm completely nonviolent. I am a hardcore pacifist. And so I went off on him for about 10 minutes. He's like, oh, ha, ha, don't laugh. He goes, don't worry, you won't hear from me again. I'm like, really? Well, you're going to hear from me. I'm going to document this. And I'm writing a letter, and I sent a letter, a good long letter explaining all of it, everything that happened. At first, I wrote a one-page quick summary because I thought, you don't want to send a long letter to your congressman. And then I thought, screw them, they're not going to read it anyways. So I wrote a long letter documenting it, and I haven't been harassed since, but honestly, it did put a big chill on my life. Like I did not actively, that's why when I saw Kevin Blanch, I was perfectly happy to throw him in front of the crowd. I was like, yeah, you go speak, bud. You know? I mean, it's taken me a while to get over it. And frankly, it's the tactics of the nuclear industry that has given me the courage because guess what? They're so indiscriminate. They don't care. We know we're going to get attacked by either paid shills or unpaid shills, by people who are so scared they're grateful to be brainwashed.
Sure.
So
take Megan Rice's paradigm for taking it personally and being physical is what I have to say. You know, but you know, there's somebody who, oh my God, you know, gave it all. So if we can do one, you know, tenth of that, and you know, and with that much commitment, you know, maybe we can galvanize others. That's the hope.
Although I don't know, I really disagree with her allowing the breaking in and getting arrested. It didn't do it. I don't think it moved the movement 1 ounce farther. I think it showed her commitment, but I honestly don't think that it really, you know, comes in a time in America where they're jailing an 84-year-old nun, and our nation was not shocked.
No.
You know,
that
like
exposes something in itself, Lonnie, though. That in itself is demonstrative of how deep we've receded into inactivity. I think this is it's important to recognize that. Maybe not in the movement, but in general, how people are willing to just let an 85-year-old nun be jailed for a peaceful action. This is out-fucking-rageous. I mean, you know, she is important.
Thomas, we're becoming a culture now. We're accepting lies. We found out that a lot of these entities like FIFA and the world of sport, people take drugs to enhance their performances. And it's widely known that people accept it. Oh, that's just the way things are now. Blah. Let's watch some more soap operas. You know, we're so apathetic as a nation, as a world. It's unbelievable, I think.
The banality of evil. There's Ayn Rand, or no, who was it that Iron Mountain? Who was that author? The banality of evil. I forget.
Oh, I should know this.
Iron Mountain.
I'll come up with it later. Yeah, I know. Hannah Arendt. Yeah.
Hannah Arendt. That. Yes, exactly. You know, talking about the Holocaust and all that. Yeah, the banality of evil.
Yep.
Looks like Mhairead, you're on. Mhairead.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's another quote from Frederick Douglass that is probably timely, you guys. Find out what people will submit to, and you will find out the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And that's really where we're at. We're willing to, really, this culture is willing to give up their children and their grandchildren, because they don't really believe that nuclear pollution will harm them. That's the fundamental thing. When you talk to people, really, I've had several conversations with people who think I'm an extremist, and we've really just had plain, beautiful conversations. And we've had to leave it at that they fundamentally do not believe that radiation has the long-term negative effects. They really believe the lies that it's just not that bad. They really believe that.
Lonnie, it's just not human children, it's the children of it's the offspring of every creature on this planet. From the smallest plankton to the bloody blue whale, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just in human terms, it's every plant, animal, and whatever on the planet that's going to get affected here.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mhairead, what about yourself, Mhairead? What's your wee story?
Well, it's kind of, I'm trying to think about how to formulate it. Well, I mean, I suppose I'm kind of unusual in that both my parents were in the Second World War. My father was a commando, and you know, they had me. I was youngest of four, but my mother was 40 when she had me. So when I was growing up, I was hugely influenced, particularly by my father, who had literally come through hell, but was a very intelligent and incredibly creative human being, a talented artist, and a big fan of William Butler Yeats. And he always used to quote The Second Coming. You know, things fall apart and the center cannot hold, which used to make my blood literally run cold. Absolutely. And my dad had a very powerful speaking voice, and he's quite a scary guy. In that he was a good-looking man, powerful, you know, sort of classic Highlander, dark hair and everything. And he would sort of stand there with a cigarette and quote this. And it wasn't until I was older I said to him, when I was a teenager, I think, I said, that sounds like a prophecy. And my father just looked at him and said, well, Yeats was very psychic. You know, he tuned into something that wasn't of this world. And then years later, I read about Yeats being into the things he was into in the Golden Dawn and all of that, and I thought that's quite interesting, you know. But I tapped into a feeling at that time that I was living in a world where evil happened. You know, what my father saw during the war, what happened to people then. I'm not just talking about the Holocaust, I'm talking about the starvation. The fact that people starved, literally, and dug up bodies in order to try and eat them, dug up their pets, you know, things that were just beyond horrific that happened during that time period because people had no food. And what the lengths that people will go to when they are that desperate. And that put the fear of whatever into me, you know. And I read some pretty heavy books at a very young age, partly because of my parents, I think. So anyway, years later, I find myself living very close to what was then the American Polaris submarine base and not being happy about it at all. You know, I'm 19, going out and having a good time. There's American sailors around we used to call them bubbleheads and things, not very pleasant names, but it was kind of an affectionate way because they would go off to sea for 6 months, whatever, and they'd come back and they'd get terrible acne because they were on a sub for all this time, and then they would hit the stratosphere and look really bad, you know, and these poor guys, really bad acne, and they haven't spoken to a woman for 6 months, you know, and they're sitting in a bar, and one guy said to me, I just want to hear your voice. I'm not interested in whether you want to go on a date or anything, because I haven't heard a female voice in all this time, and I used to joke and laugh around with him, but I said to one guy one night, so when you're loading, because he worked in the missiles, and in those days it came from the president. I think they've changed the protocol now, but it was a case of, you know, the president said you've got to fire whatever weapon at whomsoever. And I said, so, you know, the big, and this is during the Cold War. And I said, so that order comes through, you're not going to question it, are you? And this is a 19-year-old looking at me with his acne. And he says, no, ma'am, you know. And I just thought, I hate this. Everything about this just fills me with loathing, you know. So that was my hatred for the sort of the military powerhouse that we now are living under, that shadow, even greater shadow now, because we're so detached from it. You know, you've got drones, we've got, what is it they call it? Collateral damage. As people died, usually children who were in the wrong place at the wrong time. The language that we're experiencing now. I read Orwell at I read 1984 when I was quite young. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing worse than that. You know, we're seeing it unfold, and I have a hatred for what is destroying life itself, what is so against nature. And I don't think, as Thomas was saying earlier on, you know, this is the jewel in the crown. They split that atom, knowing and not knowing what they were going to unleash. And when Oppenheimer said, "I have become death," you know, he's quoting the Bhagavad Gita, and he must have known about the ancient language, the Sanskrit language, and the power of the sun, and you know, the core of life itself. And we took the wrong turn back then. So that's the poem. That's that shuffling towards Bethlehem. That's that line, "Things fall apart and the centre cannot hold." When I think of splitting the atom, that's what I relate to. I relate to that feeling as a young person. And I can articulate it now because I'm in my 50s, but I couldn't articulate the feeling then. And my friends, I didn't have a lot of friends, as you can imagine. I was like quite a deep and intense person, you know, and I try not to be doom and gloom, and I have a good sense of humour, but at the same time, I cannot do small talk, which is why I've really enjoyed talking with you guys, because we talk about crazy stuff, but at the same time, we talk about what is really important to all of us is that I don't have children, but Billy has kids, so I do this for his kids. I do this for Lonnie's kids and her grandchildren. I do it, you know, Thomas does it. He doesn't have children. Patrick, I don't know if you've got kids.
No.
Whatever.
No.
I do it for the people on this planet, the people that don't even know me, you know, and don't give a damn about me. I'm sorry, but I do give a damn about you, and I give a damn about your children. But I love the planet Earth. I love the ocean. I love the, you know, the power of nature, the cosmos. We live on the most beautiful fucking planet, and it's all we've got. We don't have another one. None of us have another one. Even though they keep saying, you know, we're going up in space and we're going to have a space station on Mars. Bullshit. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Well, that whole idea of let's go to a different planet. I was in my science class, and we had to do some, obviously I did about the harm of nuclear energy, right? But there was a young woman, we had to do anything, pick a topic, and this one girl, her whole presentation was about how they're trying to reach life on Mars. And you know, we had to say whether we agreed or disagreed. She said, "Yeah, I think that's a really good idea because we're destroying this planet." So I raised my hand, and the whole class started laughing because I said, "So you're telling me you support an effort by these ultimately super rich people to go find life on another planet, which means you're encouraging them, like, who's going to decide who gets to go to the new planet? You're telling me that you think that anybody in this entire classroom or any of our future generations in this classroom are going to be selected to go reseed life on Mars? No, we're being left. I personally, this is why I'm involved. I believe we have a moral obligation to correct the harm that the nuclear industry and the technologists have already done to our planet. We can't just shit can the Earth and say, "Too bad every single species on planet Earth, we're going to kill you and go live on another planet." To me, that's complete. That speaks to complete immorality.
Absolutely, and that's how the elite, the globalists, the eugenicists, they're all the same. They're all the one thing. That's the mindset. They think, you know, they'll go underground, and they're specially, you know, designed underground rat holes or whatever. I mean, it's completely, I cannot comprehend their mindset. And I suppose that's a good thing, because that would mean I would think like they do, and I wouldn't have empathy or, you know, an understanding of the consequences of my actions, because for them it's all the end justifies the means, you know, and it's like they just don't think the way we think, and that's what people need to understand about what we're up against in terms of changing. We're talking about transforming ourselves. We have to encourage other people to do the same and to understand what they're up against. It's not reptiles. It's not a bunch of guys from another planet. This is, you know, we've got people in charge. There's not that many of them, but unfortunately they've got a great deal of power and a great deal of money, and they've been doing this for a long time. They've been steadily getting to where they're at, you know, and at the same time everybody else has been slowly kind of dumbed down, and hypnotized. It's like the trance state that people are in, you know?
They use their fictions, their legal fictions to insulate themselves, but they put their pants on the same way we do. So at least we think they do. I mean, some of them may not. You know, that's frightening, but
how can it be, Patrick? Yeah. How can it be, right, that to a man, every leader in the world are sticking to the same story on Fukushima? Every leader and every scientist, head scientist in every country in the world are sticking to the same story about Fukushima and its the silence. How can that be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is you know why I think that they're ignoring Fukushima? I think it's because of the methane time bomb. I mean, that's what I think. We have a cacophony of disasters going on. Fukushima just put us over Niagara Falls in the barrel, but we have, the methane is actually really releasing, and I think it's actually making it worse. And they're just ignoring it because they don't want people to panic and demand answers. I mean,
Right.
Look, let me read you this one little paragraph in John Goffman's book again. The title of this chapter was called Bringing Home the Nuremberg Principles. It says, tomorrow there will be worse things than nuclear power in the Nazi Holocaust unless we can correct the bankruptcy of the average person, ourselves, of course, with respect to being a de facto slave, a moral cripple, both being the essence of the so-called good German complex. And he talks about that, like this is what we're coming up against with every single person in our family and in our cultures. They want to be good people. We don't want to question these people that it is, like my friend Jenny said, Lonnie, if I believed what you said was true, I know you're telling me the truth, you've done your research, but if I really believed it, I'd have a nervous breakdown thinking about how the government is, harming us intentionally. And I'm like, I think we need to put our courage feet on and refuse to break down and cry and have a meltdown. We have enough meltdowns going on. We need to have courage and be adults.
That's well said.
Or refuse to take the Prozac, Lonnie. Refuse to take the
That's right.
Prozac or
The soporifics. We have to reject all soporifics that they're feeding.
Yes.
Can I introduce something here? I'm getting a little depressed about how horrible things are. I want to talk about a success story. Andrew, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Andrew, here is what impresses me about your own inspiration and your own contribution to this, what we're up against. We need a success story. Would you agree that in our community of people of conscience, that when you look at the art, when you look at people that are considered to be icons of culture, that ultimately, from my position, the way I see it, that we need to somehow invigorate a lot of people, be inspired the way I was inspired by some of my teachers even, and the extended family of artistic expression. We need a success story of somebody that steps out and produces some kind of image, work, whatever that might be, that is going to motivate a whole huge swath of the population, like a youth swath of population that says, rap culture. This culture of death has embraced the worst of the worst. I mean, rap culture is based on what they call diesel transports of criminals being transported, holding up their pants because they took their belts. This is culture. So what I'm thinking, and I think, Andrew, you probably, with your films, what you're trying to do, we need a success story from the cultural side of things. What's your thought on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Something I don't know if it's going to come from me, but something iconic that people can good or bad emotionally connect to. I mean, there are a lot of facts that all of you and we can provide people, but I think if there's something that people can attach themselves to symbolically or emotionally, that's how humans operate. So absolutely, I think people do have a moral center, but I think they've tied their moral and emotional centers to what the media is currently saying. In Australia, we recently, a couple of months ago, there was a lot of uproar about this image of the Syrian boy who drowned on the beach. Did you all see that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean that was huge here, and I was, saying to everyone, well, they've been drowning for the past 4 years. Why is the media suddenly switched this? And it was, for me, my opinion is that they're trying to destroy the West by creating this flood of refugees, and a lot of them are not Syrians, and of course, it's a terrible humanitarian crisis in Syria, but that's how our morality is being manipulated and spun to allow this, this degradation of firstly dislocating people, and then having this flood of refugees, invade Europe. I mean, they're not invaders, but this whole dislocation this was caused by the military-industrial complex, and so they've diminished morality. And they're very clever at doing it.
They're inducing mayhem into Europe.
Very well said. That's actually very true. That's very well said.
I agree.
Yeah, but it's true, Thomas, what you say. We need something iconic to really stir people's moral centers for in a truthful way.
Yeah, I mean, that image was really interesting if you remembered what was going on. I think it was at the closing ceremony of the London Olympics, which was just absolutely rampant with Masonic symbology, and there was a dead baby. There was a sort of skeleton child or something that was floating about. I don't know if you remember that, but that was the whole kind of national health.
Was
something
Madonna
about that.
eating it? Was Madonna eating it?
I don't know, but I mean, I actually stopped. I'm not interested in the Olympics, but the only reason I watched it was because it was London and it was 2012, and I wondered if something was going to kick off, and I just was astonished at the blatant messages that were being put forth about we're going to sacrifice your children. It's like that. True Steam media or whatever they're called. They're quite good. They're a couple that do a lot of really good little short films and reports and stuff. And they went on the anniversary of 9/11. They went to what they call Ground Zero, and they showed you the sculpture that was there and everything. And she described how she was feeling. She just said she felt sick to her stomach. They charge people to go there to walk about. You have to pay your whatever dollars.
They charge you money to go take a look at the site.
Yeah, they charge you money.
That makes sense. Fucking rats.
And they've got this weird sort of skeleton sculpture type thing. It's supposed to look like a dove, I think, but it doesn't. It just looks horrible. It looks like there's something that looks almost like a giant eye, and I'm not sure if it's that particular sculpture from the same angle or a different angle. But she was increasingly. They were both really disturbed by it, really disturbed by it. And there was all these rules and regulations as to what you were allowed to talk about while you were there. There was no free speech.
What?
And it was kind of this thing about you shouldn't be doing whatever. I can't remember. I'll find the link and you can to the report and you can watch it. And that was the title of the report, was "There's no free speech at 9/11 site." And I'm watching it thinking, people freaking died there. And they've turned it into a theme park. And then I thought, what's that nuclear power station that they turned into a theme park? It's that thing of like, let's just forget that thousands of people lost their lives, that people lost their loved ones. Not even taking into account whether it was the government that did it or whoever the hell did it. You're still going to turn it into a place like that where people are walking about with ice creams and stuff.
See, I separate Dick Cheney and the industrial military complex from the government. I mean, I think that they have been coerced really badly. Like, they're scared to death of the military. The people in power are really scared of the at least I know in our country, Paul Wellstone was killed. He had gotten real information about what happened at 9/11, and his plane was decimated. His entire family was killed on his way back to give testimony on that. So that's in fact what got me very actively engaged, was the way that everybody in America just like bought the storyline. They went with the propaganda, and the facts are just like so glaring. Even to this day, when I talk to people about it, they're like, I don't go for those conspiracy theories. And I'm like, it's not conspiracy when it's hard facts. Like, we're talking about the reality. It's like, but this is, in fact, it's the same issue with the nuclear. They have framed it almost exactly the same way, so that people are just convinced that if you acknowledge that the nuclear power industry is intentionally deceiving people, they call you an extremist. You are framed. I mean, they used 1984 as an operation manual. And honestly, it has really been a brave new world. They used them on how to manipulate. They were perfect scientific studies. And when we talk about being guinea pigs for all these people, it's beyond even being guinea pigs. People at least in America, they're even just so afraid they don't even know they're afraid.
Lonnie,
Yeah, they're comatose. They're not slouching towards Bethlehem. They're in comas.
Yeah.
I'll quote Kevin Blanche here. Kevin says people are going to find out about Fukushima the hard way, through death.
That's right.
Going to be probably what it's going to take. People are
That's
going to
right.
watch their kids.
I mean, that's what we all say. You know what? The nuclear industry can lie about the harm that the nuclear does, but guess what? The harm that nuclear does is not going to lie. It is going to be very evident.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
we are seeing it. They're telling us only 40% of the children have thyroid nodes or cancer, but they're not telling us. I think it's more like 80% of them have thyroid nodes. And, this is the unconscionable part. In Chernobyl, when a child got a thyroid node, they immediately had surgery, and the government tracked them for several years. In Japan, they just wait and wait and wait for them to get cancer. And then they say, oh, well, we're just going to follow this child for several years. And they really are sacrificing their children. Literally, they are committing harakiri on their entire nation, in my view. It is really a sad... To me, it's the most egregious, painful thing that we all... to me, it's a form of torture. It's abuse. It's cultural torture. This is why I say that we are like all suffering from the battered women syndrome, because there's no battered wife, there's no battered culture center to go to. We really are exposed. We can't... There's no place for us to go collectively to get recuperated from the being bludgeoned daily. Every day we're being bludgeoned and threatened and coerced.
Battered culture.
Well, I think that's what the symposium's about.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's why I'm saying, like, this symposium and the work that each of us do collectively, they're drops in the bucket. They're like a little extending out an arm to other people to grab onto emotionally, to let them know that they're not crazy for having these thoughts, that they are, in fact, that there are other people. And I think that we're going to have to become a tsunami. Like, we're a tsunami. We are becoming this wave, inch by inch. It's coming in slowly. They don't see us coming. But you know what? The wave of the millions of people who are going to wake up, I believe, will shut them down. That's what I believe.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think it is really important for people to, even if they do a small thing, like the support of Dana, which we need to talk about Dana and what's going on with him. Because he's in need of financial help with his case, and that's the other thing that we have to be careful of as well, because one thing that happens that we all have to deal with is this whole shill thing, and you're just calling people to get money and all of this bullshit. And I think a lot of people are pretty clear-headed and clear-sighted about that, and they understand more and more about how these people have a job to do. The shills have a job to do. They get paid to do it. It's been proven that there's been blogs set up by people who are paid through the military to spread a lot of disinformation and to attack people in various movements, you know, the nuclear movement, anti-geoengineering and so forth. That's a given. What I tend to say to people is just don't engage with them. Just delete their comments, but just don't engage with these people. They're not worth it.
We cannot
That's what I
afford,
do.
we cannot afford to lose Dana in any kind of way. We cannot afford to lose Dana.
No.
That's what we cannot afford. He is a spearhead on this thing. We cannot afford. If they actually manage to do what they're trying to do, this is going to be a big blow in what we've been able to
We're not
accomplish.
going to. I mean, this is what I think. I think if, you know, if we can help Dana gain the financial support that he needs to hire a decent attorney, we could actually make this a pivotal case where we turn it around. I mean, they think that they can just intimidate us, arrest Dana, frighten him into being silent and complicit. I think they are gravely mistaken about the resolve that those of us involved in this, because we understand the gravity of their lies.
Would somebody like to sort of, for benefit, you know, just imagine somebody stumbled on this and they don't know who Dana is, what he's done, and what's happened. Would somebody, one of you, step forward and do a sort of summary of that, so that, because I think Andrew's maybe not quite in that loop. He knows who Dana is, but he doesn't maybe know about the whole arrest thing. And
I would petition Thomas to do a capsule dissertation on our spirit on the water.
The Spirit on the Water, I called Dana our Spirit on the Water. Dana has been in what he calls the Expedition for Life. He's been researching the tidal pools on the BC, British Columbia, Canada coast, and he has exposed definitively that life has been practically extinguished in the tidal pools of this magnificent ocean called the Pacific Ocean on the BC coast. And he has thousands of images, pictures. The nuclear proctologist, is it org? Yeah, I think so.
Org, yes,
yeah,
.org.
He's got definitive pictures. Now, Dana is really interesting to me from the point of view that being a painter, and I appreciate, I mean, he loves art, he loves music, he loves how to engage in living his life, and he has exposed physically, he actually did what he said. He stands behind what he says. He doesn't just spout on the internet or on videos. He went for 265 days. He got a boat. He organized to
He did
fund
5 expeditions.
Yes, 5 expeditions, 260 some days on the water. He's disabled. He's in a wheelchair. He has
No, he lost his wheelchair.
he lost but the point
I went overboard on one of the expeditions. So now, you know, this is the commitment that Dana has. Don't mind if I'm going to interject here, because see, this is the dissent against Dana is that he didn't create a scientific journey. Was that he just went up there and took a bunch of pictures of the coast, and that didn't prove anything. This is what the scientists are saying. Well, the fact is, Dana is not a scientist. He's a citizen journalist, and he did document it through his videos quite. I mean, it's an egregious erasure of life on the West Coast that he did document. And when he, on one of his expeditions, you know, his wheelchair went over the side of the boat. So he had to learn how to walk on sticks. I guess he's had issues getting a new wheelchair. But he has recently been arrested because Jay Cullen, he has been calling out Jay Cullen and what's that other guy, Ken Buesler from Footsole. And he has been saying that these people are lying to us because they are asking people to send them water, and they will test your water for $500. And what their statements are saying is that there is really no more harm coming out of the water of the Pacific Ocean. It's very, very low. It would take 300 times the level of contamination to do anybody any harm. And Dana has been calling them out, and frankly, on his live video feeds, which he was doing, getting hundreds of people to participate every single day, basically going over the articles from ENE News, the scientific journals that he could find, exposing how the information is being summarily ignored and suppressed and forgotten as of yesterday's news.
But
So
he is
I think that's the value of his work.
what the important
That's
thing-
brilliantly put by both of you. A great egregious erasure of life. I have to steal that. That's a horrible truth, wonderfully coined, Lonnie.
And
Well,
he is physically
so-
what he represents. He just doesn't talk. He just doesn't come on, do a video and says,
Right.
"Oh, those bastards, blah, blah." 265 days of being in the
Right.
most difficult of circumstances, considering he is challenged physically. He actually went out. He had no help. I think for a week, a couple of his friends and his son was there, but he did it. And this is extraordinary. This is absolutely, talk about commitment. And the Jay Cullens and the Buslers, they get millions of dollars. Busler said it takes him 2 years to organize a voyage. A cruise. He called it a cruise. A cruise when he goes on a ship. This was in his video. He calls it a cruise. I mean,
pleasure boater.
He's on a fucking
Pleasure
cruise.
boater.
Yeah, Dana Durnford on a cruise. Yeah, right.
Well, look, maybe people here can remember this, but my recollection is when I first got involved in this Fuku fight, Ken Busler was on the East Coast in Maine at the Woods Hole organization there saying there was no radiation, nobody had anything to worry about, the Pacific Ocean was fine, and he spent a year or 2 years saying that, and my recollection is that he burnt through a bunch of money working for the pro-nuclear industry, and when that was finished,
600,000
Yeah.
he got. 600,000. Yeah.
right. So then when that happened, he realized that there was a huge anti-nuclear movement of people who wanted to know the truth. So then he organized, I mean, was my take. I don't know how real this is, but it seemed to me that as soon as the money from the pro-nukers ended, he said, okay, well, let's go to the anti-nukers and ask people to send him money.
Yeah.
And so he's working all sides, and this is why I think they've gone after Dana, because Dana is basically he has a recollection of history. He's been engaged in this from day one, and he screen captured all this information on articles that we cannot find anymore. They are gone. So Dana shows us every day, and so he has been arrested, and it turns out that he's probably going to need at least $10,000 Canadian dollars just to get the attorney, just to hire an attorney to defend him. So he definitely needs financial support. I mean, we can I went yesterday and donated at the nuclearproctologist.org. I think I would encourage anybody who hears this. One of the commenters that I deleted on my YouTube channel, because I put out a video telling people we need to stand behind Dana. Somebody came on my channel and said, don't give Dana a single bit of money. He's a fake. He's a scammer. Well, look, it doesn't matter what you think of Dana. He doesn't deserve to be arrested. This is where I get
260
whether
days.
you support his efforts or not, he does not deserve to be arrested for speech. That's all he's done is speech.
Fraud. A 260-day on the water fraud. How can this boat be a pleasure cruise like Busler goes on a pleasure cruise to do research? Dana, 260 some days on the water. How can anybody actually pull off the idea that this was a fraud? Incredible.
Well, the fraud is Busler. The fraud is Jay Cullen.
Yeah.
That's the
He
fraud.
nearly died, Tom. He nearly died.
Yeah, he fell overboard. Yeah.
He's been shot at. He's been sabotaged. It's endless. The hassle he's had on his trips, but he's
Was he a diver?
He's very brave.
And that's what interests me
Yes.
as well. He was a
commercial
diver. Yeah,
Commercial
and now commercial divers are not. They're bright people in what they do, and they're also pretty brave as well. I think it's important that people understand that, and his knowledge of the sea is unique because of that. Any divers I've spoken to are just they're cool people. They really care about it's their world. It's like, you know, they go into that world and they know a lot about it. So Dana's the ideal person to do what he's done, and he
Why
needs.
are more divers not speaking out? Why are more divers not speaking out?
Well, that's what I wonder about that. If they're somehow being silenced or they're too afraid, I don't know. But there must be other people who are spotting the lack of. Well, I mean, he showed you pictures which blew me away of what it used to look like. I mean, we don't get very many starfish here at all. In fact, it's really exciting if you see a sea urchin that's a live sea urchin where I live. But, you know, he showed the pictures of what it looked like before. It was, my God, you couldn't move for starfish. It was chalker. And then it was like before and after, it's a desert. There's nothing.
Like a
There's not even a
chalkboard.
barnacle.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
So I mean, surely to God, something's going on. If people dispute that, I don't understand the mentality behind that.
So
People, I mean,
mass apathy is.
look at what happened with the
rampant
Gulf
here.
oil spill. That went on for how many days?
Well, it's
And
still
people,
going on.
yeah, it's still going on.
The
People
Gulf
came
is
forward and said, we can fix this. We've got this technology. No, no, no. We'll just get the Corexit out. We'll spray this shit out of not only the oil, but everything else living there. And and people are dying there as well. That woman that came forward, the fisherman's wife, Kira, whatever her name was, they did a catch up with her not long ago, and she talked about how many funerals she's been to since then. That's only in the space of 5 years. So, I mean, are people not getting it yet? That we are really in trouble. We were in trouble before Fukushima. The oceans were really in trouble before Fukushima. The Pacific is gone. I can't imagine how we can even bring that back. But you know, I try and believe in a hopeful energy, if you like, that we have to sort of push forward with, and we have to support people.
There are solutions that we have. They haven't even begun to look for solutions. See, intuitively, I really believe in it. And intuitively, I think sound healing is going to be how we're going to help heal the planet. But sound healing is something that has been vehemently suppressed because it's extremely effective. But that speaks to the massive corruption of what's happening here. And it even speaks to why Dana got arrested. And this is really the issue, is they just expected that they could shake him up. They didn't arrest him in the morning. They came at night and arrested him.
Oh, yeah, classic.
That was intentional. Yeah. It's like the IDF. They come in the middle of the night to throw the Palestinians out, right? So it's the same thing. It's exactly the same tactics. These are people that have no regard for human life, and they work on fear. And so I really believe that it's very important for us to stick together, because our courage will give other people courage.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for us to have morality.
So we'll put this on YouTube. We'll put links up for people to go to help Dana and to donate. And if there's any lawyers out there, you know, listening, who are willing to help him, a good lawyer, that would be fantastic.
I'll give him a painting.
Yeah.
The lawyer?
Yeah, I'll give the lawyer a painting.
Yeah, I'll give.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And when I become famous, when I didn't say if, when I become famous, that painting will be very expensive.
You're already famous.
I was going to say you're already expensive, are you not?
Yeah, right.
What about his paintings?
When
Can I ask one question here, guys? Sorry.
What?
So I have a question for Andrew. Andrew, how long do you think it will be before we see your film?
That's a lot of scheduling issues with activism. I'm thinking February, March might even be good.
Great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's super.
Yeah, it's kind of a glum anniversary to think about, but yeah, 5 years might make it a nice round number. Dare I say.
Do you guys share my sentiments? Can you even imagine that we're talking 5 years after Fukushima, and every government on this planet has ignored it and acted as if it's all okay? That's the thing that really dumbfounds me. Like, we're talking about a 5-year anniversary, and they have done nothing to really to mitigate it, to stop it, to do anything. They've just sitting there picking their noses, letting it get worse and worse. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Right, Lonnie, we wrote off the media, right? The media, they're a lost cause. But even the alternative media,
Yeah,
they're a lost cause as well, the alternative media.
yeah.
I mean, nobody's taking it on.
Yeah, they're actually worse in a
Well,
way because they're supposed to be doing a job that
Kevin
they're not
Camps
doing.
from Beyond Nuclear, Kevin Camps from Beyond Nuclear was on the Tom Hartman show this last week and said that Fukushima has put a microscopic amount of radiation into the Pacific Ocean. That's what he said. Microscopic.
How dare he? When
Yeah.
TEPCO themselves are telling us how much they're putting in. TEPCO admits,
I know.
and in fact
Well,
the
you know
numbers.
why they say that? Because of the amount. I mean, when you add up all the water in the ocean and you add up all the contamination, yeah, it's a small amount. But what it really ignores is how radiation really works. How the contamination, man-made contamination of radiation interacts with its natural environment in a way unlike any of the other pollutants that are being put out by the technologists.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't
particularly
understand the
in
dynamics
seawater.
or statistics or equivalencies or any of that stuff. The general public doesn't.
No, and it behaves uniquely in seawater as well. Because remember Dana talking about, almost like
Yeah.
it turning into a battery.
Yes.
And we don't. There's stuff that's coming out of Fukushima because it's atmospheric fission that's been allowed to happen for a long period of time. So that is completely unprecedented. It's never been allowed to happen before. And there's stuff coming out of there that they haven't even given a name to because they don't know what the hell they are. So that, it's like it is a massive scientific experiment. And you can imagine all these crazy guys running about going, "Oh, isn't this great?"
Well, they love it.
Yeah,
Love
it's just, and
Well, like that scientist, Mhairead, and there was a doctor in Japan who was talking. I saw him interviewed on NHK. It was a quick blurb. He said, well, we're actually really glad, in a way, the blessing of Fukushima event happening is that now we get to study a very large population exposed to radiation. They're looking forward to it.
yeah.
It's astonishing. And the Marshallese Islands. Oh, look at all these wonderful, all this great empirical evidence that we can now review.
Well, and speaking of the Marshallese, I know some Marshallese. And do you know that 3 out of 4 children at the Marshall Islands are born with some type of a genetic defect? The most common is they have a tumor over one or both of their eyes that is easily removed. It's easily removed, but the United States government nor the Marshall Islands government has ever put a hospital on the islands. So in order for that child to get the tumor removed, they have to travel to Hawaii. And that's like a $3,000, $2,000 plane ticket, and the average. So it usually becomes a community effort to get these children. There's a lot of children who don't get the tumors removed from their eyes till they're like 10, 12 years old because the families have to save up money.
Jeez. Yep.
Can I throw something in here, guys, quickly? Something that really bugs me, right? And I can't get my head around about it. Where is the mighty voice of Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth? Where are they in this equation? Where are they? Is anybody
Good one. Yeah, Greenpeace, the biggest frauds on the planet right now. You don't hear from those bastards.
Did they not? They made a little film recently about Fukushima, which I think I was just so, I don't know, I get into these moods sometimes where I just get stroppy and I watch maybe 5 minutes of something and go, well, yeah, right, and I don't watch any more of it. And I have a thing about Greenpeace in that they are gatekeepers and they're making a fortune out of cuddly polar bears, and people feel good. They go, oh, I'll donate and I'll buy a cuddly polar bear and I've saved the planet. Yeehaw. And they don't speak out. They never have. I cannot
That's like
remember.
the world with the Wildlife Protection Fund with their cuddly bear.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. And they were exposed years ago for being pretty dodgy. But what was I going to say? There was something. I don't know if Greenpeace have ever, apart from in New Zealand when I was there, because New Zealand was very, anti-nuclear, but they still use incredible chemicals and all the rest of it. So it's like, hey, apart from there, I don't know if there's been a sort of staunch, and that was a long time ago as well.
This is my take on Greenpeace. I think Greenpeace is an extremely timid organization in that they only want to work on successes. Like they don't want to take on a big issue like the nuclear power industry. They're willing to take on things that they know they can succeed in. Okay, so
Yeah,
they're not
that's a good
willing.
That's what a gatekeeper does, and that's where they funnel their money, because they're not going to take something on as controversial as the nuclear industry, because then they won't get their support, will they? They're not going to get their
They can't
Right.
win that one. They can't
And
win
we
that
saw
one.
that instrumental in the Helen Caldecott symposium that we attended, where they're talking about stuff that had been done, like the bombing of the Marshallese or the bombs that we want to ban and everything else. And we didn't want to hear the F word. We kept being drilled in our heads. Don't say the F word.
yeah.
Well, but you know why, and I'm going to still defend that. Because those people came to talk about nuclear weapons, they did not talk about nuclear disasters. And I really believe that probably Helen Caldecott felt like it would be unfair to the participants to have something asked of them about a topic they had not prepared on. It was really a scientific symposium. So I feel like while it was relevant and one or two of the people there did discuss it, it wasn't really I mean, I was disappointed, frankly, not in the fact that she wouldn't let Fukushima be discussed. I was disappointed in the topic of the symposium. To me, it was like a punch in the eye. Let's just ignore Fukushima and talk about nuclear war. That's
exactly.
the premise of it was like, she said she set it up because there had been all this talk about let's go back to war. Well, what do you think Fukushima is, Dr. Caldecott? Fukushima is an
There you
assault
go.
on the planet. That is a
There you go.
nuclear weapon being
Yep.
used. And we should have had a symposium about, okay, we did a symposium last year that was ignored. Let's talk about Fukushima again. Like, I think we need to have, the more we can get out that Fukushima is an unmitigated disaster, ongoing, destroying the planet silently, the better off all humanity will be, because people need to be aware that this is not a situation that is being managed. It is a situation that is being exacerbated.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I have a
Can
Good
you
prediction.
summary.
tell I feel passionately about it, you guys?
I have a prediction. I have a prediction. I have a prediction.
Uh-oh.
I predict, I'm going to give investment advice now. Anybody who's listening who wants to make a lot of money, I would suggest you buy cases and cases of scotch, especially like old scotch, 18-year-old. It's going to rise in value as people panic and realize how desperate we are. And I think you're going to get juiced. This is the only alternative to people who are not willing to wake up to the reality we're in. So my investment advice is, I've actually bought 2 bottles, yesterday.
Well, you sound like me. It's funny. I scour the stores when I go to buy, when I go in to buy wine. I really hate buying wine that's before 2011, after 2011.
Yeah, you're right.
I really only buy wine from 2010 and beyond, or from South America. I don't
Yeah,
know.
especially
$50
California,
yeah.
obviously. Yeah, right.
Right.
But these are interesting things to think about. Like, this is how it's impacting our life. And seriously, I appreciate every single person who has participated in this symposium this morning. And, I appreciate the fact that Andrew even made it and was here, because he was in the middle of the night. His work is is instrumental. I really believe that. And it is really important for all of us to just keep up the good fight. And, like, our positive attitude about stopping these people, I believe our thoughts are things. And I really actually believe that we agreed to this journey. I don't know if many of you have read Carolyn Meese, but she has a great book called Sacred Contracts. And in her book, she basically says we choose our lives, we pick our process. We're not here by accident. We agreed to be here, and I believe that we're all here on purpose. And frankly, I think you're right, Thomas. We have missions, and the mission of our life at this point in our life is to really help restore Mother Earth and nature to the planet, and to stop the nuclear technologists, to stop all the technologists, but really find a solution to the harm that's being caused to our magnificent planet.
Yeah, skull on that one.
Yeah.
Mhairead,
And joking aside about the whiskey, I think it's really important for people in terms of mitigating, what we're being exposed to. Is some people take local solutions, some people speak out against it. I take it. I also have a really, really good water filter. I think if you can afford to get yourself a good water filter
Right.
and store water,
Right.
is especially if you've got children, and have a good storage of food in your cupboard, because not just to do with Fukushima, but the other stuff that's going on. The whole preppers thing. When I first came across that, I was like, oh my God, and I thought I was doing well having a few extra tins of beans in the cupboard, until I started talking to people who were preppers. And I thought, they're so organized. So, I mean, I'm not that bad, but I understand the common sense in it, because it does make sense, particularly with water and basic supplies, because we don't know what they're going to pull out the bag, but also just the fact that if you've got a filter, then you're maybe not protecting yourself against, all radiation, but you're certainly giving your body a fighting chance, because you're drinking, good
Well, not
water.
only that, you need to have a shower filter on. Let's be very clear.
Yeah,
People
shower
need to
filter.
put a shower filter on to filter their water, because we use chlorine, and at least in the United States, there are only 60 chemicals that are legislated in our country. And when you mix chemicals together, they become another chemical, right? So what we do to mitigate that is we pour undue amounts of chlorine in our water, and when you heat up chlorine, it becomes mustard gas. So we are poisoning ourselves, exclusive of the radiation, but it's so important to really protect our bodies
Mm-hmm.
in every way we can. Like, we have the technology to help us protect ourselves. We just need to use that information.
can I introduce? I suspect that we're sort of at the end of this symposium. I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
introduce people that have been listening, that are going to listen to this. I've recorded this, and probably you're going to post this. I'm going to post this, and what I wanted to say is, the idea of this is different people host uh, the symposium, and what I would love to do, if I can host a symposium, I would love to host this on the idea of the mechanisms of conformity, because I think this is what we're up against. Ultimately, everybody. I mean, if Patrick hosts, or Billy, or Mhairead, you have introduced this symposium. I think I'd like this to go out into the domain, that this is possible, a symposium for many people to be included in, and host a topic, a subject, bring people in, invite people in, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many we can handle. I think we had 5 today, and Andrew, being a rather quiet person, he didn't interject too much, but I like to talk a lot. But the point
Really?
Stop laughing, Lonnie. I think you hold your own. So
I didn't say
why
anything.
she's
It
laughing.
wasn't me.
I heard you laugh, Lonnie. When I said
I had to laugh.
I heard you laugh. Yeah, anyway, I think we should continue this on asking people to host. And I don't know who asks, because this is like out there. It's out there. And to introduce people into this forum of symposium. And Mhairead, maybe you can, when you post this, you can introduce this, the idea behind the symposium. I love the idea of not being the center of attention, but to include as many people as possible. The free radicals is about including. You have I sent you plastic. I sent Lonnie plastic. Patrick has done the plastic. Billy doesn't. I don't know, Billy. Can you make marks on a piece of paper?
I probably could in a push, but
Wait till he's had a few whiskeys, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, suitable inducement. Yeah, a little inducement, then we can proceed.
He'll be Picasso.
I hope so. I hope so. But the idea is, Billy can host the next time, or whenever, this symposium, to bring people in, to introduce people into this conversation. And I can think of even my nephew or my niece or someone that could be part
I
of
know a few people that I would love to have had in this conversation.
Well, why don't
that
you
might
host
have
the next one, Lonnie? Why don't you host the next one, and we can do this weekly, maybe?
Well, okay. Well, let's talk about the details of that, because the idea of hosting sort of overwhelms me. But okay, I wouldn't mind that.
And
But hold on.
Well, basically, what you can do is just we can maybe do it fortnightly. Weekly is quite demanding for everyone. That maybe in a fortnight's time, but we can. But what I'd like people to do is to go away and think about the sort of people that they would include if they, I would have loved to have had Dana, for example. And then there's Kevin. It would be nice to have. We kind of thought about Kevin, and it was going to get complicated because of the whole phone thing. So it can spin out and doesn't necessarily have to have us as a group involved in a symposium. I mean, it can grow organically from a little seed. So
It's true. I mean,
even Billy's got contacts that he might want to bring in. If not everybody wants to talk and have it out on YouTube, I can understand that. But if we leave this initially open for comments and people have suggestions, then that's great. And we're going to we have to think of a name for the group, or to have the YouTube site whereby we upload this. Either we do it, or we could do it under Thomas's name. I don't know, under a playlist or something, and just accumulate as many as possible and see how it goes.
Let's sort that out and bring people in to host and direct the conversation into some kind of whatever that might be. We all know we're in the fight for our lives, and to bring people in to support us and each other, I think this would be a magnificent step. And this has never been done, to host a program, a show, a something that is run by a different person every time.
Mm-hmm.
And you,
well, I think having Dana would be a goal as well. If he was willing, it would be great to have, if Lonnie hosted and we had Dana or whatever, it would help his cause, because
maybe that's the next one. Maybe that should be next week.
Dana is going to be on my radio show on Wednesday. He has agreed to keep that. He had a commitment to me prior to his arrest to be on my radio show this coming Wednesday. So I agree with you, Mhairead. We need to have Dana's voice in as many public forums as possible.
Very good.
Well, in that case, if he agrees to coming on and we do it in, say, a week, because obviously time is short for him, then we rally round.
This is the 13th or the 18th. I think he said it was the 18th.
Right.
So maybe next Saturday.
Why don't we sort that out after this? We're at a minute and 58, an hour and 58 minutes. We're under 2 hours. So how about
I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, I press stop record now. We can just carry on talking, and because I think we've covered.
Great.
We would probably cut the end of this off, but I'll just say I'm not going to go. I'm just going to stop recording.
Stop recording, and we'll sort out next week.
I wouldn't make a very good DJ, would I? I'd be hopeless.
Yeah, you edit it post-production, just.
Yeah.
You got us going, Mhairead. You were the first. You got us going. We're it's a 2-hour thing now, so yeah, we'll keep talking after this.
But I think, Mhairead, when you post it up, I think 2 hours is going to be too long of a video.
Oh no, I want 5 hours.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't like.
So Patrick and I are hopefully going to work on it together, because I'm pretty clueless about all of this stuff on YouTube and editing. But I want to learn how to do it, because it's a good skill to have.
Surely.
So I've stopped recording, and I have to somehow work out how to get the MP3 to Patrick, and we'll work on it together. So I think 2 hours isn't. I listen to stuff that's long when I'm doing other things. I'm in the kitchen washing the dishes, and I listen to all kinds of stuff on YouTube. I think it's great.
I do too.
And we can if people don't want to listen to the whole thing, they don't have to. we'll just do a synopsis of who's there and why and what we're aiming to do. And we're working towards something, and that we want it to be something that grows and have other people involved. But I think Dana's the priority at the moment. And who knows, who knows where that's going to go.
All right.
I think you're absolutely right, because I think when we stand behind Dana and really, really fundamentally help him get the right kind of legal help he needs, I think his case is going to be the starting point, where it's the pushing off point of us taking back our power legally and technically. You know what I mean? Like, he said something yesterday about how he can't wait to get these people in court to justify how they can create these types.
Amazing. Yes, fabulous. I agree.
Right.
This could be a
Yeah, use it as a bully.
And because of that, I actually think it's going to go away quicker. I don't believe that the nuclear industry wants to have these people sitting up on a court stand saying why they are manipulating it. I think they're just going to.
They're going to try and settle. Absolutely.
I'm interested in them picking on Dana as well for various reasons. One of them being that, Kevin has called out some names.
Right.
So why not Kevin? He's far worse. So I also think that when Dana needs to watch what he does with in terms of his live streaming and the sort of people that come in on board the whole Fukushima Hounds thing, that's how you get infiltrated. You have to really, really watch, because somebody has known exactly where to get him and how to get him, and they had it all down within hours. All of the relevant
Dana's
videos.
presentation is more penetrating.
But Mhairead, this isn't Canada, because the Canadian laws of what you can do are much stricter. In the United States, you can pretty much, there's a lot of things.
He's under the
That's the other
Commonwealth,
thing.
isn't he? He's under the Crown.
That's the other.
That's the big issue, is in Canada, you cannot say, there's a lot more strict regulations. And Jay Cullen is Canadian. So that, I think, is why they are not going after Kevin Blanch, because really, Kevin is out there, but you can say whatever you want. But the other part, I think, why they're not going after Kevin is Dana is much more factual based. Like, Kevin says things off the top of his head, and if you fact check some of his stuff, it's not accurate. Whereas Dana uses actual scientific evidence, pulls up the document, and shows it. And the reason he's, so the dynamics of why Dana he's easy pickings.
Well, actually,
and you're right. He is actually educating people. I've learned a lot watching his, and I encourage other people to, because he does what I've been saying to people for ages. Is this phrase that I read in a book somewhere, where it was a story about a drug dealer, and I can't remember. But one character said to the other, in order to explain this to you, I need to get out the big crayons. And that is such a great phrase, and that's how I feel sometimes when the whole Fukushima thing. I think, oh God, I'm going to have to get out the big crayons. And that's what Dana does really effectively, because it is overwhelming. It's surreal.
I think what we'll find here, guys, is we'll find out who is really supporting Dana here. Because I've talked to Thomas about this, Thomas, how I feel about this, about the people that just write silly comments for writing comments' sake. You're the man, Dana. Wow, this is great stuff, Dana. But nobody, I write a comment, I like to put some constructive into it. I don't like a throwaway comment for the comment's sake. And I think it's got a lot of people that are yes, men and women, that follow Dana,
You see, I'm not a commenter really. I share people's stuff. That's how I work. I'm not really I've thanked him on occasion. I've said thank you for all you do or something like that. But I tend to just grab their work and support it and say to people, watch this guy. That's just how I operate. And that's what I did with Andrew's work. When I discovered Andrew's films, I was just like, oh my God, this guy is so good at script, his writing. And that's I think that's his forte as well.
That's my thing, because I left a huge letter of support on his on the comments on the video where he came out.
The equivalent of Ekazelen Fum.
It's a sad
You have
thing.
to remember, though, that I think here in Canada, some new laws, there is a bill that was passed called C-51, which actually criminalizes comments that you could make on YouTube. You could become a terrorist by commenting in YouTube. Now, one of the things that what I understand is that Dana gets very emotional, and he made comments that I think they could use against him, and they're like incitements that they consider to be incitements to incite people to do violence. And I think this is the vulnerability here in Canada, because if you are perceived to be inciting, there were cases actually in the 90s of I forget the guy's name. He was on the Holocaust, and they nailed the guy and threw him in jail for making comments on the Holocaust. So Canada, people are vulnerable because we're not under common law, we're under maritime law, which is there's a huge difference. And Dana has exposed himself by what they consider to be incitements, I think.
Right.
We got to be careful, people. We got to be careful. They have laws. They can create anything they want.
Well, what we need to do is stick to the facts about nuclear pollution instead of, like, I make the assumption that at least Jay Cullen, I don't know about Ken Buesler, but I think that these guys are non-nuclear scientists. And this is what I said in my response to that guy who wrote that article about Jay Cullen being attacked by hate mongers. Either he has been lazy and has not done his research and read enough books about the harm of nuclear pollution, or and he is regurgitating the lies from the nuclear industry, or he's intentionally lying. And because the evidence is very clear that the way they are framing their studies and the information they're saying has nothing to do with the facts of the harm that's caused by nuclear pollution. So we need to stick to this is why I'm always saying this now. We really need to make sure we pound this. That if they're not talking about safe radiation, they're talking about allowable radiation, the allowable levels. And that is what is really the crime against humanity, that we found an energy source where we said, okay, it's worth some people dying and some people having permanent damage to their DNA so that we can have a little bit of energy. That's the crime.
It's like that. Who was that crazy guy that swam in the fuel pools? What was his name?
Oh,
do you remember him?
Westland or something like that?
Yeah, because he was just. I couldn't.
Yeah. Out doing it right now. She's that. What's that girl? She's over there in Pripyat, riding her bike around, swimming around in the water over there.
Yeah, well, she must be getting paid. Somebody's paid her off to do that. She's mad.
I think she's suicidal.
Yeah, I mean, who the hell? Okay, so she's not dead now, but she's going to get horrific cancer in a very short space of time.
Are you going to like videotape your trip through the cancer ward?
Yeah, good for you.
Like Blanche.
I mean, that is the thing. It's just like these people really infuriate me. They really do. I mean, that's just. I get into that state where I don't know what to say to them.
And Coulter,
because I get incandescent.
And Coulter, the poster child for hormesis. And Coulter.
Oh yeah. I mean, something else I was going to say before I went for my loo break. I forgot now. I can't have been very good.
So shall we do this? We'll confer now, and I'm still recording, so we'll confer on doing the symposium for the next, and whoever will host this. And we need to keep reinforcing that we want to bring people into this. We're a core group of people, but it could be many different people host the symposium.
Yeah.
People could have their own ones. People could start their own wee groups.
Hey, that's even more incredible.
Yeah, that's big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Identify it. And
communication is everything. Communication is everything, Tom, for me.
You could have like thousands of symposiums every week. Yeah.
Yes. Totally.
Wow. Free radicals. Yeah. I have to yeah.
I'm going to go and get something to eat, guys, right? I'll catch up with you sometime.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Lily.
With us.
Great talking to you.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, Billy.
Bye.
Cheers to you.
Okay.
Soon.
Very.
Yeah,
All right.
I've got a glass of wine now.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mhairead, for this. And what are we going to do about this? When do we want to do a new symposium? Next Saturday? That's kind of a lot to pull together. I think in terms of me reaching out to Dana, I'll call him and ask him if he wants. He may be pretty hesitant to participate in anything public until he's finished.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think you're right. But you can tell him that we're all thinking about, we mentioned, we'll try and get this
we
out.
can mention him. It doesn't hurt him for us to mention him.
No.
But I doubt if he's going to want to come on here and start yapping away about all this stuff.
I think you're right. I think he needs to be really careful. I think any lawyer would advise him to do the same, because he's under the gun at the moment. He's under a charge, isn't he? So he has to be super careful. So
Yes.
Criminal threats.
Patrick, did you record this one? Did you record this one, Patrick?
Did I? No, I'm on my phone
Lonnie,
here,
did you,
so I didn't.
Did you record this, Lonnie?
Didn't even occur to me record it.
Okay, Mhairead,
No.
I've recorded it. Mhairead, have you recorded it?
yes.
Good. Okay. So I'm gonna post
Gordon
this.
Bennett.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna
She
post.
hosted.
I'm gonna post this, and I think everybody should record the symposium, and we need to decide what we're gonna call this. You know, I don't want to say Fukushima. What did we clan? It's too much like Fukushima Hounds. I don't want to piggyback.
Yeah.
We need to find a name. I said symposium because it kind of invokes that classical tradition of Plato and Socrates in the modern. But if you have an idea, I'd like to post it as a kind of thing that might get viral. Lots of people do symposium, but whatever name we choose, you know. So think about this. I'm going to post it on my channel as symposium, and I'm going to say dedicated to Dana Durnford. So, but in future, to have some sort of identifying name for this congregation of people, 4 or 5 people talking, I think this would be very important to establish this, if we can do that.
Right. Well,
Sure.
if you're going to do that, then what Patrick and I, or what we doing, we're setting up a YouTube channel specifically for the symposium.
Right.
So we need a kind of name that is for the group.
Let's confer amongst ourselves as we
What
come
about
up with
the
our bright
symposium?
ideas.
Let's call it the symposium.
That's us. We're the symposium.
Okay.
The symposium, what?
Okay. Add the what? Go ahead. Add the what? Something.
Whiskey drinkers and frolickers and
The frolickers, yeah.
Frolickers and bollickers and ballyhoos and
How about this symposium to save humanity or to save the planet or
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Something the Earth, something.
Earth Symposium. The Earth Symposium.
yeah,
like
the
that.
Earth Symposium.
The Earth
Earth.
How
Symposium.
about the Earth Rescue Symposium?
Sounds like a Hawkwind song.
Sweet.
How about the Earth Rescue Symposium?
I like me some Hawkwind now and again.
Yeah.
I want to have an opportunity. No, Lonnie, a rescue, yeah, but how about introducing other aspects? It's like it'll just be like rescue. No, it's more. It's like creating the spirit. It's like creating a spirit in the population. It's not just like, oh,
or the
fucking
Spirit
doom and
Symposium.
gloom. Forget doom and gloom. We got to create some spirit of excitement around us, you know?
Well, what about the Symposium of Spirit? That's something like
Yeah,
that.
Spirit Symposiums, plural. Spirit Symposiums. Right.
The Spirit
Yeah.
Symposium.
And then the subtitle to it could be, you know, a gathering of the free radicals.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that. That sounds good.
The
Nice.
Spirit
Spirit
Symposium.
Symposium.
I love
Yeah,
it. Okay,
I like
the
that.
Spirit Symposium.
Great.
And we can all
So does
add
that
our
mean I can
subtitles.
talk about does that mean I get to espouse about what I think about like the whole spirituality aspect of this and like our
Host. Go
I
for
think
it. Yeah.
really, frankly, I think that humanity this is why we've been driven to this, because love is the greatest power on earth, and love has been forgotten in our current culture. It's been all about money and profit. And the only thing that's really going to save our planet and save humanity is the power of love. It's our love that's going to save this, and our willingness to speak out in the face of power, because we have a strong feeling of love. I really feel that very strongly.
What are we going to call it? The Spirit Symposium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it so provisionally.
Let's do it. There's
I
three
like
of
it.
us left. What's the vote?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know with the Spirit Symposium. I'm thinking it over. It just sounds a bit like a bunch of alcoholics talking about. Sorry, it's just the way my mind works. When I think of
Really,
spirit,
your mind
it's
thinks
spirit is
about
very
that, really?
spirit is kind of limiting. It's
Oh,
kind
the
of like
spirit of
no, but
alcohol.
it
I
does.
get
It sounds like a bunch of people with a Ouija
How
board to
about the
me.
Life Symposium?
Yeah, the Symposium of Life,
The Symposium of
Yeah.
Life. The Symposium of Life.
a gathering of the free radicals. There you go. That leaves it,
Gathering of the free radicals.
which that leaves it very open because anyone could be a free radical.
Anybody could be free radical. It's like billions of free radicals. Yes.
Well, free radicals are
Yeah.
good to have in your body, aren't they? They're
So
the
this
ones
is
that
my
you.
thing. I'll go along with whatever you guys say.
No, actually, it's the opposite. They're not. So it's kind of a play on that. But
All
yeah,
right.
the Symposium of Life.
Symposium
Yeah,
of Life.
I mean-
I will publish this under the Symposium of Life dedicated to Dana Durnford
Good.
for the
Yeah.
first one. And we'll confer over the next week. Somebody will host it and invite people and conduct the Symposium of Life.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good?
Sounds great.
Am I going to okay, I'm asking. I'm going to put this on my channel as the Symposium of Life dedicated to Dana Durnford.
Yep.
Okay, that's
Amen.
what I'll do. I'm going to, yeah. Okay. And Patrick and Mhairead get together on creating a channel that it'll always be like the Symposium of Life uploads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
right.
it.
Do a little
I love it.
bio.
Cool. Very good.
What were you going to say, Thomas?
No, I love it. I love
All right.
being
I
with
thought you.
people that, and we need to end up in a swanky, really swanky place. I want this.
What about your place? You've got this huge table
Yeah.
you're telling me about.
Hey,
I
thank
do.
you. Yes. What
I
about
would love to have you people over to my place. Absolutely, for however long. If
I
we
can
have
just see
100
Thomas
people,
being
I
a
can have 100
fantastic
people.
host.
100 people in my place. I'll just have to pitch a tent. That's all.
You know what was amazing was when I first spoke to Thomas, Billy said, "You need to meet Thomas and speak to him." And I was trying to, I forgot to say this to Thomas the other night. I was talking about my dad and his arty friends that came from the Glasgow Art Club when I was a kid. Really interesting bunch, but they all liked their booze a bit too much. But the really interesting ones all smoked big cigars. So as a kid, I just assumed that every artist smoked a big cigar. So when I spoke to Thomas for the first time and he came on screen and everything, he had this huge cigar that he was smoking. And I just thought, oh, he's a proper artist. I'm really scared now.
It's all
He's got a
true.
cigar.
It's all true.
Yeah.
So let's
So we
do
all have to
this.
smoke cigars.
I want to do this weekly, so there are going to be enough hosts, and whoever decides to host a Symposium of Life,
Right.
just says notifies you if you're included, and Patrick, sort this out with Mhairead on creating a channel, and I will post
Sure.
this on my channel, this
Easy
one, but let's do a YouTube channel just for the Symposium of Life. I love that. God, I'm excited.
And
I
that's
love
where all the vetted, not vetted, but just all the hosted symposiums by whoever will reside. They'll be
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So,
I love it. I love
Well,
it.
what's really good about it is it's a long-term picture.
yes.
Because this is a long-term issue, and it really, because if we're talking about really activating millions of people, the idea of this symposium is that we will eventually bring in tens and hundreds, and we'll have an exchange of people. Hundreds of people will be participating in it eventually.
And there is no
Won't just be-
controller. There's no controller.
That's the vision.
There's no controller. There's no head honcho. Anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
Yep.
It's like beautiful because it's not like run out of some office that runs the whole show. It's like anybody
Yeah,
can
but
do
then
it.
let's talk about this. Then how do you prevent that from being infiltrated by the shills? If we're gonna let it, I mean, someone
have
has
to
to
vet,
phone
yeah.
the moderator.
They have to approach us. I mean, we're
Have
kind of
to
the
be.
core group, so to speak. So they would
Yeah.
have
Right.
to
We're
approach.
the
Steering
core group.
committee.
Yeah, we're the core group. Yeah, we vet it, but okay.
So then that means that one of the core group will always be involved in one of the symposiums.
I agree. Yes.
So that we can
Yes.
Yeah.
moderate.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't just create it and ignore it and let it go, because then
No.
it could get seriously co-opted and God knows. And you know, you need to be able to like terminate people who work their
Right.
way in and act like they're.
Worm their way in, as they
Yeah.
would.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's like a collective in a way, that we're the kind of core group in the collective, and we have to kind of vet who wants to get involved, in such that we say, right, well, what are you going to do, and who are you going to have on board, and then one of us would join in. I mean, I'd be happy to do that. I think we should take turns in that, because everybody's going to be
Yeah.
I
busy.
think so. Yeah, the old moderator
You
aspect.
know what I
you
think
Yeah.
is really interesting is this is turning into is kind of like, you know, I live in Eugene that is still living in the hangover of the activism of the 60s, right? So like in this community, we have several organizations that have really hung together through social activism. You know, like we have a market, the growers market, which is people can go and buy food directly from the farms and directly from the food suppliers at wholesale cost, and it's a food cooperative. But these are all people who really have been committed it's the same 10 or 12 people been engaged in this project for 30 years now. And it's really improved our community, but it's that same kind of idea that we're going to have a core group of people who will oversee the growth of a movement. That's really what we're calling for, is the growth of a movement for people to, because realistically, in order for us to take this back, we really need millions of people to get their courage to decide that it's important for them to be engaged at some level.
Yep.
The other thing is that what we're addressing is on YouTube, and we know that, you know, Big Brother, aka Google, they're slowly, and you know, they're boiling that frog all the harder every day, aren't they? And that's one of the things that's happened today now. So we need to be aware of that. I'm not thinking that, you know, ooh, and all that. I don't want to put doom and gloom out there, but we need to be super aware of that, and that will put people off, because we've got Cameron in this country was talking about anyone who questions 9/11 is, you know, equivalent to a terrorist. He said that at the UN. He said that at the UN speech. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
And
He
if
did.
you
We just have to
question
behave
the
professionally.
propaganda
We have to
story
be.
that you're a terrorist,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yeah. It's there. You can watch it. He says it in the UN speech. It was this year, wasn't it, Patrick? I think.
Yes, earlier this year.
Well, you know why he had to say that? Because that whole fucking story's unraveling now. 13 years later, people aren't buying it, and the facts are coming out, and all those guys are getting, you know, released from Guantanamo. It's all coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just covering his ass. That's all. Wow.
Sure.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and that's the thing, you know, that's fear is the great, you know, where there's fear, there's power.
Yep.
And that's what they use.
We're
That's
gonna turn
the
that one
other.
around. You know, what's the old Hendrix quote? You know, when what is it? The love of power becomes the power of love, then we'll
Yeah.
straighten it.
Yeah.
Which is good. I like that. And yeah. So let's do it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's terrify
Okay,
people.
so we'll be in touch. When's the next symposium? When do you want to do another symposium?
Next week, Saturday.
Saturday.
So are you saying that this is going to be a weekly event?
I like it to be weekly. There's enough hosting.
It could be
that
good.
can
I mean,
done.
it can always be somebody different hosting in a different array of characters.
That's
You know,
right.
whoever's invited, whoever can show up, whatever.
That's right.
You know.
Exactly.
Because the person hosting is kind of the moderator as well, so they've got the helm of the ship, so to speak.
And
So
how is it that we host? How do you record? How did you end up figuring out how to record it, Mhairead?
I use the software that Thomas uses. So if you go, and he'll share the link with you, and just
Is that
it's
the one
pretty
you
easy.
sent me, Ackermann?
Great.
What?
Huh?
Is that the one you sent me?
Yeah. I'm recording right now. It's the audio. It doesn't do video. It does audio.
Okay.
And then you
You
can
have the
edit. Then you can edit, and put it together with images, whatever, and
Well, then, are you going to host next Saturday? Are you going to do this next Saturday?
Who?
You. Since you're the one who wants it every week.
Every day. I could host every day.
Okay, great. So then who are we going to have on next week? Let's talk, let's make this.
Turkey.
Whoever is
Aside
the host.
from us,
Whoever is the
usual
host
suspects.
decides. Whoever is the host decides.
Okay, so you decide. Come on, decide.
Are you electing
Decider,
me
come
as
on,
the next
decider.
host?
Well, you're giving us 1 week to do this, so like who is it that you want for the next week? Who do you have any ideas?
No, I haven't thought about it.
See, this is the tricky stuff. This is where you have to.
I mean, that's a very short time frame. I don't know about you. I live by my calendar. I calendar everything out. Like I can't just oh, I'm gonna go do this and then ignore something else. I have people to see and places to go.
It's because you're a woman and you're multitasking.
All right.
You know what the boys
How
are like,
about-
they just sit around and
I have
sit
an
and do
idea.
nothing.
I have an idea. I have a solution.
God, you found me out. Jeez.
I have a solution. I have a solution. Mission
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, I have a solution. That is, all right, so there's sort of a core group right now of about 4 of us, 5 of us, and anybody can just sort of do it anytime they want. If you have an impulse to host a symposium for life, just say, I'm going to do this, and just go ahead, whether it's every day or 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months, I don't know, whenever.
Right.
So Patrick,
I
you
don't
tell
know.
me.
That seems a little too loosey-goosey.
Let's be loosey-goosey, no rules. I want loosey-goosey, no rules.
Oh
The
dear.
anarchist, the real anarchist. This is how anarchy gets even a breath of fresh air. I think that really. Okay, so what are you suggesting then, Thomas? Like, do you want to think about this? I mean, maybe next weekend, maybe every 2 weeks gives us enough time to round up a new cast of characters.
All right,
Because
let's go
each
with that.
week is just too short. Maybe what we need is the moderator. Someone says, "Okay, I'll be the moderator," and then we plan for 2 weeks, and then by the next week we at least send out a notice. This is who it's going to be. Let's figure out. That gives us a week to plan. Like if we have a 2-week window, it gives the moderator a week to figure out who's going to participate, and then everybody agrees, and then the following week the thing goes off without a hitch. I mean, every 2 weeks posting a symposium would be pretty compelling, because what we want to do is provide some real information to people, not just posting up a symposium of a bunch of people sitting around yapping.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Well, I
want to
think
have, the point of
I
it
can
is to motivate people and give them information.
surely I can weigh in on that. I like it a lot. I mean, especially if you get heavy hitters, like Dana or Andrew, or just people that really have something fresh and compelling to impart. Like today, like Andrew, that was the fulcrum. We can do that. We can schedule it out, and I think it's great. I think biweekly is excellent. Gives ample time to line it up and get people on board.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we can do the loosey-goosey. Now that's just up to whoever
Well, I like
feels like
the loosey-goosey idea if we have enough time. But the thing is, we can't push ourselves to we got to do it every week, and then we'll just do it.
Yeah.
Why don't we
Yeah.
agree that the actual symposium official,
Right.
if you like, happens
Well,
every fortnight.
There you go.
Yeah.
We
There you
aim
go.
for that. But in the interim, say Patrick and I want to rap with each other and say, "What the hell? We'll record this. We're really
Right.
whatever." We can
Right.
put that
If
up
there's
as
something
part of
really that we want to bring out.
Yeah.
Or
So
review,
basically, we're
that's
using
a merit.
yeah, we're using the YouTube Symposium for Life channel together as a collective, right? As an outlet. Okay, so we can put something under that umbrella that's part of what we're working on, what we're doing.
I got it.
Yeah, if it applies,
I got
then
it.
we can include it.
I got it. How about this? The
Oh no.
group, okay, the core group invites somebody to host. That's all. Say, call somebody up and say, why don't you call up Andrew and say, why don't you host a symposium for life, and then bring in people that you like to talk to. like that. You know,
I think that that's unfair to that person to like dump that responsibility on a person who is not the core group. The hosting needs to be done by the core group, period. Because I know for myself, like just the thought of hosting at this point, because I haven't done it, I know that I will, but it seems daunting. It's like everything else I've done so far. I haven't got a clue how to do it until the first time I'm doing it.
No, you do a radio show. You'll find it really. It's much more relaxed than a radio show.
yeah, you're
It's.
the alumni, Lonnie.
I mean, that's
I mean, the
exactly
important thing is that people get something out of it, and if you get someone, say like Andrew, it was nice to hear his voice again and hear him interact with you guys. I enjoyed it. I thought it went really, really well. I thought everybody contributed really well. And it's the first one. It's not. It doesn't have to be fantastic. You know, it's the idea is part of it. And if it kicks something off that's bigger, then that's good as well. I mean, I said to Andrew when I messaged him, I said it was that everybody was really keen to meet him. And I said, apart from anything else, it's really good about, it's good for morale. And that's why he was saying back to you, I really appreciate what you're doing. Because he's that kind of guy. I think he's just, I love him. I seriously have a huge old lady crush on him. I really do. I really do. Honestly, I've met some real bastards in my lifetime. And I just think to myself, God, if I'd met someone like Andrew, I'd have a whole different life story. He's a really, really genuinely, seriously gorgeous, gorgeous human being. But you know, if the same goes if we had Dana as a star guest after he's freed, you know, from the shackles, that kind of thing. But don't worry, don't stress about it, Bonnie. Just enjoy it. Think about who you could have. You could even talk to Libby about it.
Yeah, I think Libby would actually be willing to participate because she and I have become friends over the Skype. We've talked. She has been very busy saving her website and getting her life back together on that one. So she
Well, you
has
know,
not been able to.
I would love to meet her because that's an inspiring. Sorry, guys, but I want to inspire women.
Right.
I want to get the women involved because they're the mothers, and where the hell are they? They're having their nails done and their hair cut. You know,
Let's be
you know
clear,
what I mean?
It's really the women, though, in this movement that are making, no offense, guys, but really, women are really more actively engaged in this. I am finding, my observation is, it's the women who are actively engaged, more actively engaged than men.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that's what makes the men so wonderful. The ones that, you know, like Patrick and Thomas. Well, you are because you know, because it's so frustrating because you think that where are the men in this? Because you've got a bit more
I'm like,
power.
where's
You've got more. Yeah.
Where's anybody in this? That's
Yeah,
my thing.
that's true.
Yeah, but
But
I hear you.
but the you know there's the women who are mothers and not just the women who are mothers, but we are supposed to be in this role of nurturing and whatnot. And then this, you know, the new age movement pisses me off because they've all got this whole thing about the divine feminine and we're going to ascend, all this crap. You know, I have got no time for any of that shit. I'm totally
Yeah,
practical.
it's the magical thinking. It's just come on,
Absolutely,
y'all.
absolutely, and we need to get that out there, and that's what's inspiring.
Why don't you ground yourself and get the message here? You know, this is that we're in dire straits, for God's sake.
This is reality, and it's like Lonnie was saying about, you know, you went from being behind the scenes to having your own radio show in a relatively short space of time. And there's a lot of women out there who are doing that. And you know what? People we need to reach are the whistleblowers as well, the insiders, the tenants who are going to turn around and say, I'm not doing this shit anymore. And there's a lot of women out there who could do that. They just need to know that they've got somewhere to go. In other words,
a place to be hosted and do it. Get the message.
Okay.
They've got public behind them.
So as I understand it, what we have arrived at is that we're a core group, and whoever hosts will have a core group member on the panel or discussion. Is that right?
Is that right, Lonnie?
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, I think that sounds. I mean, this is a little, you know, it's growing as we speak. So I mean, I think we'll find its voice on its own. But
Yeah, we can all be part of it.
Week by week, we'll move into this a little bit more comfortably.
Yeah, and if it's not too pressured for people to do it, I mean, I think once a week is a bit much at the moment.
I think this is my little devious mind. I would certainly love to invite somebody like Kevin Camps on the symposium so that we could ask him on the air, why is it that you called it a microbial aspect of contamination, and why, how come the nuclear, how come Beyond Nuclear is really not organizing millions and millions of people to get out and speak out about Fukushima? Because they're not. They're not doing many things that they could do.
And do they, I don't know much about Beyond Nuclear, but do they organize a way of trying to sort of get people behind stopping a new plant being built? That's the thing. I mean, the whole Chinese agreement, we've got this monster going to be built in the UK after all. I mean, they did a double back and then forward again. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's how it should be. I personally think once a week is a bit much.
Yeah, I do
To
too.
organize. You need to give, because apart from anything else, Thomas, if you've got, say with Andrew, he was absolutely brilliant because I hardly gave him any warning at all, really. But most people need a bit of time.
Right.
You want someone who's got a busy life and they're not getting paid for it. Put it this way. You want to give them a bit of time. Even Libby would need a bit of time. You couldn't just say to her, hey, come along on Saturday.
Libby certainly, she's got her own thing. So,
Well, it will certainly help
Lonnie
us
as well.
to not have 5 different time zones. If we could actually find people that are like just UK and the United States would certainly help everyone along. I mean, I felt bad for Andrew at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to listen to us.
I know, but he probably went back to bed for a bit and then got up with his boys. I mean, I don't know. He did that before when I asked him to come on. That he's lovely, but yeah, it's not easy, but people are willing to take part. I mean, it's surprising. See, when you approach people in network,
I was going to be ready and dressed at 8 o'clock in the morning, so that was pretty big on my part.
Same here.
But I'm happy to, see if it was somebody like Libby or anybody, if it was important, I would get up at 3 and do it. I need to be given a bit of time, obviously, but I would definitely do it to support you guys.
I would do. Yeah, I would
It's
do
not
it.
a
Same
problem because it's important.
Fully supportive of all of you.
Yeah, it's practicing what you preach after all, and if anything to help Dana with.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The next time, if Andrew is willing to come back on and do a symposium with us again, I think what we ought to do is give him more warning, and we can be the ones waking up in the middle of the night. Like he can do it at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I can wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have no problem with that.
Let him host it, and then we'll have to get up.
One of the things we could probably do with him is give him lots of warning, but also maybe closer to the film coming out, have him do that, because he could use that as part of the promotion.
Well, this is what I would suggest, is really actually have him on more kind of semi-regularly, so that he's not just a every once in a while voice, so that people get used to his name and used to hearing his style. Because part of what happened the thing is, he gets this. He got a lot of negative feedbacks about his documentaries, about his manner of speaking, and I saw it happening between the 1, 2, and 3 documentaries. He really made a big change and a major effort. But I would love to have him be more of a regular contributor to the symposium, mostly because his method of communicating, the way everything he says, because he's a thoughtful speaker and he's not a verbose type person, so which means every little bit of word that comes out of his mouth is pre-thought and thought ahead of time, and very valuable. So
he's wonderful
he's
things
the kind
to
of
say.
contributor that can really raise the level of the conversation by saying very few words.
I
As
agree.
opposed to me, who's like can't stop talking, and I get that.
I loved it. I love the idea of the regular contributor, or every other week, every other symposium, or whatever, and then as the run up to his film being released. That's great, I think.
That's what
I love it.
I mean, if you could talk about that, Mhairead, that would be good to. Like once a month or something like that.
Yeah, see if he likes it. I love today because, well, it's the first one, and it's just one of those wonderful moments. But how we all had, he had the film, Lonnie's on the radio, Ackermann's the genius that we know and love. You know, I'm a writer, and we all have these little areas of expertise, which just fleshed. It was a wonderful panel. Let's put it that way.
And I think we're all quite creative thinkers as well, and that Andrew thinks he's a writer like you, Patrick, but he also, like you, thinks in terms of pictures and images. So it's kind of trying to create that film in the mind that people relate to.
Got it.
So I'll ask him, but I can't guarantee that he'll agree, simply because he's quite shy as well as being, he's quite shy, he's got his
Yeah, but
voice.
maybe you could sell it to him that it will give his film exposure.
Oh yes, yeah.
Emotional platform.
And kind of leads people up, and we can do it when it works for his schedule. It doesn't have to
I will
be-
say to that to him. We'll get up and make it.
And it doesn't have to be a Saturday. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I could do it on a different day if that works for him. It doesn't matter.
That's fine for me. Yep.
Can I finalize? Is it the Symposium of Life or for life? Which one?
For life.
Either one. Whichever you prefer.
I'd like for life, because that the powers that be are anti-life.
True.
Lonnie?
I think that's great. I agree with Mhairead. I think it's for life.
Symposium for life.
Good.
Okay, that's our title. Okay.
Perfect.
Mission control.
Because it works both ways. It works as in for life and for life.
For life.
Right.
Symposium for
Make
life.
if you understand where I'm coming from.
Indeed, I do.
Okay,
Indeed.
that's it. Symposium for life. I'm publishing. Mission control.
Already? Is it up? God, that didn't take long.
It's going to go
I
up.
thought it would take hours to upload the thing.
That's it. No, it's going to take like 15 minutes. It'll be up in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Have you put any pictures or anything with it?
No, what do you want? What do you want?
I don't know. What do you want?
What do you want?
Lonnie, what do you want?
You're asking me what I want.
Image.
Put a
martini.
yantra. How about that?
You got 3 seconds, otherwise I'll do what I want.
Oh, just do what you want. We'll
Well,
trust you.
what kind of image do you? What do you mean? What image?
Napoleon, Sodom troops or whatever.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Napoleon.
Yeah. Sodom.
No, a picture of a baby. We need something that draws people in. We need a baby or a dog.
Okay,
Like
baby picture. I'm putting a baby picture. That's it. Got it.
No.
Not any sad clowns, though. No crying, weeping clowns, please. P.T. Barnum, thank you very much.
Baby
I mean, we
picture.
want people to go, oh wow, what's this? Click. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I mean, the downside to putting up a baby is we're going to get a bunch of anti-abortion people. That's
Okay, baby picture. I'm doing it with a baby picture. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna call it off here so I don't lose the
The
thread.
Star Child from Kubrick. Yeah, they're going to come after you, though. The Star Child, that would be my choice from 2001, but that's me. It's probably,
the giant thing.
Yeah, the giant baby.
I'm gonna put a screaming baby on. That's what I'm gonna do. Screaming.
It's an upset baby.
You can, Mhairead, you have your recording. Figure this out how you're gonna do the Symposium for life, of life, for life. Yeah, for life. That was it. For life.
Yes.
For life,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Mission control. This is over and out.
Over and out.
Yeah.
over and out.
Mission.
Are we going now, are we?
That's it.
We are.
I've got it. 2 hours
Okay.
and 43
Guys,
minutes.
it's really a great morning.
So we still haven't decided what's the next one.
Call me anytime you want. We'll figure it out after.
All
The
right.
next
Okay.
one, isn't it going to be in 2 weeks? Didn't you
Yeah.
say
I
2
love
weeks and
that.
we'll.
Lonnie says, "Isn't it going to be in 2 weeks?" Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll call you tomorrow and do another one. I don't know.
So that's going to be the 21st of November.
Right.
All right. Yes. Logistics. Lonnie,
Yes.
logistics. Yeah.
Lock it in.
Thank
Lock
you.
it in.
Thank you.
Compliance, compliance is my life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she's just got a calendar by her desk. Can you?
I do.
The
I do.
accountant.
Yes, I do.
Accountant.
Okay, it's been great. Yeah,
Must be me.
I'll get in touch with you. I'm gonna have to go and eat something. I've not.
Yeah, same here. I gotta run off and pretend to work and stuff.
Okay,
Sure.
people.
Well, I'll be in touch with you about what we're gonna. I'll see if I can
Yeah,
send
we
you.
will.
Hugely
I might have.
fabulous. Hugely fabulous. Love it. 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 Love it.
Love
We
you.
love you, Thomas. We love the fact that you talk about
It's going up. Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to talk. That's it. I'm putting it up. Goodbye.
All right.
Adios.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Talk to you
Goodbye.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Love you all.
Later.